wait for this.
Yes, you do. I want to at least see the preview because I know it does this for like a little bit. There we go.
Alright.
Okay, switch over now.
Alright, sweet. We're up?
Yeah, we should be.
Okay, I haven't gotten the live notification
yet. I'm trying to refresh my YouTube for a quick second. Yep, I've got it on mine.
We're ready?
Yep. Hello, Mad Dog, and just some random guy who comments.
Hey, Wolf Pack. We're back, and this time we finally brought Wolf back on a stream because we're doing something Wolf actually likes.
Yes.
We're doing a tier list ranking all the Star Wars movies. Clarify, the movies, not the streaming shows, because we haven't seen most of the shows, and many of them suck.
I don't think we have the streaming services to even watch them.
Yeah, we don't have Disney Plus. We can get a free month if you want, Wolf.
Oh,
watch the good Clone Wars.
Is Wolf visiting Cat in prison? It's more like the other way around. I'm getting bailed out for this.
Yeah, good luck with that. For Futurama. Yeah, we're doing the Star Wars saga because it's a saga Wolf has actually seen.
For the
Most of them.
There are a few. It's mostly the newer ones.
Right, the Disney ones.
Yeah, and I guess the first half of episode 2 will go into that later.
Right, so do we even need to explain Star Wars? Like, this is pretty much one of the biggest franchises of all time.
It's ancient history in another galaxy.
Star Wars was one of the greatest sci-fis ever, and then Disney got their hands on it.
People will argue that the prequels are still bad.
Right, but the sequels were worse.
Definitely.
That was definitely
kind of expedited the process of decay.
Don't worry, Kat. We, the viewers and subscribers, will help you get out. Don't worry, I have a video showing how I'm gonna get out.
Oh, good. Oh, okay, that's part of your lore stuff.
Yeah, part of my lore. I got thrown into reality prison, Wolf. And you're gonna visit.
Horrifying.
Yeah, you need to see my Goosebumps review.
I guess I do if I want to learn all of this.
I'll be able to escape. Yeah, Star Wars, basically space wizards, galaxy far, far away, a war across the stars, a lot of epic sci-fi, a lot of magic, fun, adventure, action, and very great storytelling for both an action movie and a sci-fi perspective.
Yeah, this also really helped shape future sci-fi stories, moving away from the much more...
like Star Trek-ish.
The Star Trek, but I was thinking more of the, 50s, 60s ones. That Futurama kind of parodies.
Yeah, George Lucas basically wanted to make a Greek tragedy, but in space, and with sci-fi. Lucas, believe it or not, was actually a Trekkie, and that partly inspired this, but he was also inspired clearly by a lot of Greek works. Ben-Hur, I think, was an influence.
I don't know that much about
some biblical stories, like a lot of Bible stories, and even some Buddhist teachings.
I could see that, yeah.
And yeah, basically he made this great space epic where space wizards train to be great warriors, and there's an evil empire controlling the galaxy, and you all know the story.
Yeah, pretty simple story for the first 3.
It has gone on for a very long time, and Star Wars was one of the greatest franchises ever. And then Disney got its paws onto it and kind of destroyed it to the point where nobody's excited about it anymore.
Yeah. Well, so, yeah, which way are we going? Chronological order of release or canonical order?
Okay, we'll talk about that. I will go chronological order for the main episodes, but we'll do the spin-off movies for last because those are kind of interquels.
Yeah, those are tacked on after.
And that might overly complicate things. Plus, I want to end on the Clone Wars instead of the Rise of Skywalker because a lot more happiness.
Yeah, space Nazi versus hippies, basically.
Right, so we have all the movies. Spoilers, we are only going to do the theatrical movies, and yes, the Clone Wars was released theatrically at first, because George Lucas wanted to advertise his show.
Darn, no Christmas special.
Yeah, no Christmas, no holiday special, no the Acolyte.
Oh yeah.
And no series. Book of Boba shit. And, well, Star Wars' Rebels finale was a movie length. It's like, it was an episode, and it was a bunch of episodes, okay? Only things that we saw on the big screen. So that means episodes 1 through 9, Solo, Rogue One, and the Clone Wars movie, because that did make it onto theaters.
Yeah, that was also inspiration from 1940s Germany.
Space Nazis versus hippies. Almost, except these were hippies that were enlightened. Yeah, so
The true hippies, if you will.
yeah, actual hippies that fought too. Yeah, we're going through episode 1 through 9 first. So I guess we should begin with the Phantom Menace.
Alright, so I think that we do have to start with one thing. If we are starting with the prequels first, back when this first came out, people did not hate the prequels. That was the biggest controversy with Star Wars for a long time, whether the prequels were garbage or if they were good enough to be considered canon kind of thing.
We know some people did hate them, but they actually made money and actually did have
Exactly,
fans.
and it did help, I think, get children into it. For the most part, all these movies were, 79 into the 80s, were
Right.
4, 5, and 6, and then this was the 2000s. This was honestly a really good step George Lucas took, and I honestly do like the prequels.
Yeah.
I'm not one of the prequel haters, and this was before Disney even made their first film.
Yeah, don't worry, both Wolf and I are prequel fans. We grew up with the prequels, we grew up with the Clone Wars, we really love it. We think these movies are good. They do have flaws,
Of
but
course.
overall, we would say they're actually good Star Wars movies. They
Yes.
do have fans, and they did have great ideas, of course.
Exactly.
And it started with episode 1, where this was, of course, after the original trilogy, where Lucas wanted to show what the Jedi were like when they ran the galaxy.
Exactly. See how the Empire came to be.
Right, we see the power the Jedi had. We see how the wars initially started. So, if you don't know, episode 1, there's basically a blockade around a planet called Naboo, and there's kind of like a Cold War tension. They're afraid this is going to instigate a war. We find out that the battle droids are the main villains in this, and Newt Gunray is first introduced in this movie. He's supposedly the villain while Palpatine's in the shadows.
Yes.
And basically, this is supposed to ignite a war that's going to happen. They're going to invade Naboo, and Palpatine's setting up things to kill the Jedi and conquer this planet, basically.
Right. It still is hilarious that this film all starts because of a trade war.
Right.
It's in the opening crawl, and it's such a minor thing that gets tossed aside.
Yeah, one of the most infamous aspects of the prequels is there's a lot more politics in this, a lot more
Right.
political disputes, politic talks. Padme and basically the Space UN get a lot of light shined
The
on them.
Galactic Senate, yes, versus the Confederation of Independent States.
Right, we're seeing
I wonder what
basically like
that's
one of the
about.
Emperor's earlier schemes where he's trying to basically start something that's going to lead to a bigger war, basically.
Yes.
The Jedi are going to get involved, and a lot of people are infighting right now and are paranoid about this. This one has Darth Maul when he was the apprentice at first. Darth Maul, really cool villain.
Yeah, even though he doesn't really speak a lot, there's like one scene.
We're only the one scene where he talks, yeah. Then he's
Yep.
mute for the entire movie.
But he's still one of the coolest villains ever introduced. It's a shame he goes out in the same film.
This introduces also our heroes, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon is kind of used as a fake-out protagonist, basically. We're led to believe he's the main hero because he gets a lot of input in this movie. He's practically the hero of the story.
Qui-Gon?
Qui-Gon Jinn, yeah.
And it also helps that you have famous actor Liam Neeson playing him.
Right, so you don't expect the AAA celebrity to die.
Exactly. This was kind of before the huge amount of subversion.
Right. This is actually good because a lot of people claim The Last Jedi subverted expectations, but the main hero and villain Qui-Gon and Darth Maul die in Chapter 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are but footnotes in the story, practically.
I actually like Jar Jar Binks. Yeah, I actually didn't think he was that bad.
Yeah,
So
I can
get
see
what people
why.
hate,
Exactly. But it's funny at times.
yeah, Jar Jar has funny moments in this movie, and to Lucas's credit, he actually did respond well to the criticism, so he toned down Jar Jar's roles later.
Definitely.
It's like, if he was Kathleen Kennedy, he'd double down on Jar Jar focus.
Yeah, probably.
Qui-Gon will always be alive to me. Yeah, he was great. Qui-Gon had surprisingly a lot more impact on the prequel era than we gave credit for.
Yeah, especially a lot more influence in how Anakin deals with things, I believe.
Yeah, if you don't know, Anakin is introduced in this movie before his eventual rise as Darth Vader. It was actually kind of interesting. I do like that we follow Anakin from childhood all the way to where he's the scary villain ruling the galaxy in adulthood.
Yeah, it's definitely a more interesting take than the inciting incident as the starting point.
Oh yeah, let's get this out of the way. Jake Lloyd was not bad as Anakin. I don't get why people hate him.
Yeah, I mean, child actors are usually hit or miss.
It's like, he's so much better than a lot of the Goosebumps child acting,
Right.
which came out around the same time.
Yeah, and it's a shame what happened to him.
Yeah, young Anakin, I actually liked him in this movie. I liked him a lot better than he is in episode 2.
Yeah. It's also kind of fun.
Yeah, he was the fun kid character. He was an audience surrogate for the younger viewers, kind of.
My favorite scene with him is the "it's working." It really is one of those moments that does get me hyped.
Just like how Kat or somebody else in the pack applauded someone for admitting they liked Pouf de Fromage. Oh, that was from our Haunting Hour stream way back. Did they ever bring him back for Clone Wars? You get a lot of love in the comments. Yeah, actually, Liam Neeson did come back as Qui-Gon in the Clone Wars team.
Yeah, I remember Mom reading about that in the newspapers.
Yeah, like, holy crap, Liam Neeson's lending his voice to this children's cartoon.
Yeah, he came back for a role that was like 20 years ago.
It was confirmed by Lucas that Anakin's mother and Qui-Gon were the only two people who could have prevented him from turning to the dark side.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Qui-Gon was the cool teacher. Obi-Wan was the strict teacher.
Right, and the mom is the emotional heart for him. It's one of his only bonds he has in life.
Right, he and his mom were like slaves for most of their lives. They had each other. There was no father in his creation because Virgin Mary in the Bible.
Well, because he's also supposed to be the chosen one.
Right. We're supposed to believe he's the chosen one, but no, it's his son, Luke. But spoilers, we'll see how the sequels will screw that up.
Yeah.
I actually want to put episode 1 in the ranking Master Jedi.
Yeah.
I really like the Phantom Menace.
It is a really fun, solid movie as well.
Yeah.
The stuff with Jar Jar and the other Naboo, the Gungans. I do like that aspect. I do, like, the way they used politics was really good in this.
Right. We're seeing the galaxy was kind of on edge at this point before, like, the Empire rose. Like, a lot of galaxies don't trust each other. They're getting involved in these big things. There's fears of a war breaking out, and Palpatine's kind of using that to cause chaos.
Yeah, and there's also a bit of smaller things as well. There's the whole bet with Anakin that Qui-Gon has to do, because he can't just forcefully take him, and he can't just buy him out. He has to go through this crazy plan, but he can only get one of the slaves, unfortunately.
And mind tricks don't work on Watto.
Yeah, I do love that. It can affect dice, however.
Yeah, the infamous pod racing scene, which everyone hated.
I love pod racing. Like, I hate the game, but I love pod racing.
It's like, yeah, it was awesome. It's like, what, would you prefer the 40 minutes of exposition stuff?
Yeah, it's also just NASCAR in space. Like, come on.
The pod racing was awesome. Basically, it's their NASCAR race,
Right, and also, like, with the Gungans and the Nabooans, where in order to get the bond, you have Padme reveal herself and, like, kind of bend the knee to him, just to get them to work together against this greater threat.
Yeah, Padme was actually disguised as a handmaiden, and Keira Knightley was her bodyguard double.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot that was one of the other big twists.
Yeah, it was one of the twists, that this teenage girl is actually the supreme queen of the planet. She was just hiding undercover.
And it wasn't Keira Knightley, famous woman she is.
They were protecting Padme, basically. Yeah. And Padme has this start of a romance with Anakin.
Yeah, that scene is awful.
Like, okay, so...
I get it. It's supposed to be love at first sight, but the...
Are you an angel?
Yeah, it's not... That part is definitely not acted well enough, and I don't blame them for it.
It's like, well, I wasn't cringing because, he's a kid trying to impress a cute girl. Of course he'd do something stupid.
Yeah, it's also like that childish kind of crush thing, but oh my gosh, that dialogue.
Okay, so some people do have a problem with the age gap because Natalie Portman was clearly 20, but...
Right.
Okay, so George Lucas cleared this up. The intent was Padme's supposed to be like a teenage queen. Yeah. They're closer in age than what they actually were in real life.
Right, which is completely fine. But medieval history is full of that.
Yeah, she's a teen queen, and he's supposed to be like 10. And, like, they're not that far off.
Yeah.
But, you know, clearly Natalie Portman was an adult when filming this.
Yeah, he's, like, 10 years old.
That was the kind of the problem. It's like, I didn't have too much of a big deal with it. I get what they were going for, and Lucas did clear up that she's supposed to be younger than she actually is.
Yeah, if anything, I guess 14, because that's usually when that age takes up the role.
Right. I love Liam Neeson in this movie. He is great. The queen would not approve of your bet. The queen doesn't need to know about it.
Yeah, as he says to the queen. Yes.
All those funny foreshadowing moments.
Right, so good.
And Darth Maul is pretty cool. He's more of a quiet, creepy villain in this. He's not the Shakespearean villain he is in Clone Wars yet.
However, he's definitely a force to be reckoned with.
A lot of people did not like it because they felt Darth Maul didn't do anything as a character, but I don't know.
I mean,
just...
I think that's completely fine though to have lesser villains like that.
He was kind of used as like Palpatine's fall guy, basically.
Exactly. He was just a pawn in another scheme.
Yeah, Palpatine had Darth Maul watch over. The Jedi are tricked into thinking he's the Sith Lord leading all this. They have the epic fight. Oh, we gotta mention the Duel of Fates.
Oh, how can you not? That is one of the most iconic songs of Star Wars.
There is indeed a disturbance in the Force, or a Star Wars tier list. Hey, everyone. Oh, Shadowlink made it.
Shadowlink.
Hey, we're on episode 1, which actually made Master Jedi.
Yep.
And Duel of Fates pretty much cements it there.
The entire fight sequence cements it there. It's so creative as well.
Badass fight scene,
yes,
the
you
good
have them
visuals,
using the
John
Force,
Williams' score.
The Force jumps, the platforms that they have to use where there's no railing, so there is actual tension with, I think it's Obi-Wan hanging off.
Yeah, he's hanging on the side.
Yeah, like, oh my god, they use the set so well. It's incredible how well choreographed it is.
Yeah, it still looks awesome. It's the
know,
best Jedi duel.
Yes.
It's so cool. And I do love that when they're double teaming Darth Maul, they like fake him out, like Obi-Wan pretends to charge with them.
Yes.
Qui-Gon like sidelines.
Yeah, there's like actual good tactics there. And then once they get separated, it gets even better because Obi-Wan's forced into a spectator role where he literally can't do anything.
This was Liam Neeson's last good movie, honestly. Taken has only become a parody of its own self. Well, I actually thought Liam Neeson was good in Narnia. Like, he's Aslan.
I forgot he's... Jeez.
Yeah, Liam Neeson had range, man.
Yeah, apparently. Only Christian things.
He was in Aslan, and he was in that movie, The Grey, where he fought wolves. He was, like, stranded in the snow or something.
I don't think I remember that one.
I thought you knew that movie.
I might have heard of it, like, once, but I do not remember that.
It's like, well, yeah, he was good as Aslan.
Okay.
If you're arriving here, I should clarify, we're doing a tier list. We're ranking them from best to worst. The top rank is Master Jedi.
We're doing canonical order.
Yeah, we're doing canonical order. Episode 1 through 9, then the spin-offs. Top is Master Jedi. This is S rank. It is the best of the best. Another happy landing. This one is pretty good. It could use some improvement, but we think it's pretty great, pretty watchable still.
Yeah.
Much to learn, Padawan. This is okay. It is average. It is mid.
Yeah.
It is the middle section. It is a C movie. Then Clumsy Jar Jar. This one is a weak. There is a speck of hope there, but overall definitely weak and needed lots of improvement. And it's a crap. You can probably guess guess how bad these ones are, and unfortunately you will be seeing something down here.
Yep.
But yeah, don't worry, we're actually prequel fans, and we thought episode 1 was good. We actually went to see the re-release for the anniversary in theaters.
Oh, yeah, there's only like 4 other people there.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of people. We went on a school day, okay?
I know, still, but...
Trying to convince Wolf to see Transformers 1 next, but...
Yeah, nah.
Yeah, we saw this in theaters, and it was still great. It still looks good after all these years, too. I don't get what people complain about the CGI and the prequels looked fake. It's like...
I think it's when it comes later. Mostly 2, I want to say.
Yeah, episode 2 definitely had moments. A lot more green screens. That was why. Episode 1 did have more practical sets, which definitely saved it. I think Jar Jar still looks pretty okay.
Oh, yeah, all the Gungans do.
Like, all the Gungans...
It's insane.
Yeah, speaking of which, the Gungan fight with the droids was epic.
Oh, that's hilarious as well.
Yeah, Jar Jar's actually funny in the fight scenes.
It's just slapstick humor really is better.
Schindler's List, though, will always be Liam Neeson's best movie. Yeah.
I didn't even know he was in that.
Yeah, he's Schindler.
I haven't seen Schindler's List in forever.
Right. Well...
I think I might have seen it once and caught like the tail end of it.
Hey, how could you guys forget Dark Man? Maybe I should wear a funny little hat.
Yes. Oh,
see, the dancing freak.
So hilarious.
Phantom Menace high tier, controversial by many, but honestly, even I'll admit it's not as bad as people say, and I personally have grown to appreciate more and more. Yeah, Phantom Menace will be outclassed by some movies, but I do think it belongs high up there.
Even when I rewatched it, being 20 years old at the time, I was still on edge of my seat at the scene.
Yeah. Duel of Fates, okay.
Yeah, pod racing is my favorite. I can agree with that. Pod racing is amazing.
Yeah, it's such a crime he didn't win an Oscar for that. Oh, Schindler's List. Oh, he didn't win an Oscar? I thought he did.
I think the movie might have won one. At the very least, I think Spielberg also won one for director.
Right. The battle droids are pretty cool villains. This was back when they were still serious,
Yeah,
so they're a lot more threatening.
Their introduction is so cool, especially when they come out on the racks and just like are turned online. Basically.
Yeah, synthetic soldiers, all
There's
obedient.
absolutely no life to them.
Yeah, I thought they were cool in this movie, and I
Right.
remember we always said Roger, Rogers kids.
Yeah, Roger.
Roger. Yeah, but this is before Dave Filoni made them comedic, so yeah. Episode 1, definitely Master Jedi. So you want to get to episode 2?
I think we'll go to episode 2, yeah.
Oh boy, I remember we saw this in theaters and Wolf fell asleep.
Yeah, okay, so this is not a proud moment. What's even funnier is the first half of the film I've fallen asleep to not once but twice, because we tried to rewatch this and it happened again, and I was like in high school, I want to say, at that point.
Right, you were like falling asleep.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about the first half of the film that I just can't sit through, or like that I just fall asleep to, when normally I can't even fall asleep in a car ride.
Have you played any of the Battlefront games?
Yes, I
played one.
I played 1 and 2 over at our friend's house. I own the second one, the old second one, not the newer ones. The newer ones are garbage. Old ones are insane still. And you should all play them. They're on Steam. Do not get the Battlefront collection. Just get the old 2005 ones.
Pros for episode 1 are definitely Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, worlds, fight scenes, pod racing, and the climax. Yeah, definitely agree. 1 did have a lot of great moments.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It also had a lot of good build-up, too.
The one thing I didn't like was when they went to the politics planet and had the debate. And
yeah.
basically, they're doing it to set up Palpatine becoming the Chancellor.
I also want to bring up R2.
You didn't like his intro?
It's kind of... I did like the intro itself, but it's kind of like one of those fan servicey moments.
Like a bit tacked on. And
exactly.
How convenient he was on the Padme starship as a repair droid.
Exactly. And it's like, oh yes, we'll thank you, R2. Not any of the sacrifices of the other ones.
And apparently they gave him a lot of freedom because he goes with Qui-Gon into town. So. You see, I guess the droids weren't oppressed slaves like Solo said.
Right.
Yeah, Attack of the Clones is by far the worst in the prequel trilogy. Well, that's only because 1 and 3 are so good.
Yeah.
But okay, so I don't hate this movie, but I do get what others say. It is slow, it is boring, and there is way too much focus on the love story.
Yeah, that's definitely what helped me fall asleep.
Yeah, even as a kitten, I didn't like this. There's a lot more focus on Anakin and Padme falling in love and becoming a couple by the end of the movie.
Yeah, this is definitely the middle part of the tragedy.
Yeah, George Lucas wanted to write a Greek tragic romance, and unfortunately it hogs so much spotlight in this movie. There is actually an interesting plot where Obi-Wan is trying to solve a mystery.
Oh yeah, I do remember Obi-Wan's plot. I could stay awake through that.
Yeah, there's, once again, the Jedi, there's a time skip this time. Anakin has now become an adult. I want to say adult, he might be a teen still, but yeah, Anakin's older. He's now a Jedi Padawan.
Yeah.
There's an assassination attempt on Padme after the events of Episode 1, and they're trying to solve a mystery of who's behind it. We don't know the Separatists exist yet, basically. There's political uproar, the galaxy's once again on edge, and there's conspiracies that there are armies being built and readying for war, basically.
It's Cold War stuff.
Right, so Obi-Wan sent on a mystery to find out who tried to assassinate Padme. They got a clue it might be Jango Fett.
Right.
And we've learned more about the universe. We set up, basically, the Clone Wars, the battle with the Separatists, and Count Dooku is supposed to be a twist villain, but it doesn't really work because we don't see Christopher Lee as a good guy once in this series. Yeah, Tales from the Jedi fixed that, but that didn't happen in this movie. Okay, so Count Dooku is apparently on the Jedi Council, and he's gone missing. That's what they say. He's vanished, apparently went on a sabbatical, and they don't think he's like a villain yet, but he could be because he was a bit disillusioned with the Jedi when he left.
He was also Qui-Gon's first Padawan?
He was Qui-Gon's apprentice. He was the master. He was his master, yeah.
I cannot remember the order.
Yeah, Count Dooku was trained by Yoda, then Dooku trained Qui-Gon, Qui-Gon trained Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan trained Anakin, and Dooku sort of tries to get Obi-Wan to join him because Dooku has grown disillusioned with the Jedi and has joined the Emperor because he wants to destroy the establishment because he thinks they're corrupt.
Right.
However, Dooku is like a much better apprentice than Maul because he's a lot more political influential.
Much more theatrical.
A lot more involved, and Christopher Lee's a showman, so
exactly.
gets a lot more involved. However, he's kept kind of a surprise. We don't find out till halfway in the film that he's the villain, and he's formed an alliance of separatists. These are people who hate the Republic and don't like their style of government and are trying to form their own. The Confederacy of Independent Systems. The CIS, basically. Yeah. They're forming a battle droid army and they want to take down the Republic. Obi-Wan solving a mystery, finding out that the Jedi have actually approved of a clone army.
I think it was Qui-Gon that put that in, kind of thing.
Yeah, Qui-Gon and one of his friends, Sifo Dyas.
I forgot about
Like, he was the former Grandmaster before Yoda.
I know, that's one of the names that comes up at times.
Yeah, we find out
they've approved the clones on the alien world of Kamino. Great planet.
They're teasing that these are, of course, the Stormtroopers.
Exactly.
They're apparently a clone army made from the DNA of Jango Fett. Jango Fett gave his DNA in exchange for having a own clone to call a son. Who's Boba Fett, who won't be important later. No, seriously, Disney screwed him over, so yeah, he won't be important later.
Oh, I love Jango Fett.
Yeah, Jango Fett's actor is cool.
Right, he's also the voice for the clones in Battlefront, and my god, his voice for the clones is still phenomenal. I do love D. Bradley Baker, but he does not hold a candle to this guy.
Oh, let's not forget the important part of episode 2, learning that Anakin doesn't like sand.
It's coarse and rough and gets everywhere.
That
That was part of the soap opera parts.
Yeah, the climax of episode 2 is great. I would argue that is the best part of the movie at the final act.
It's where I woke up, yes.
Yeah, basically, unfortunately, we're stuck on this love story between Anakin and Padme for a long while. They're dating. He's trying to break out of the friend zone with her. They go to Naboo. They go to Tatooine. We find out more about Anakin. We tragically learn his mother died.
Oh, that is in this film.
That is in this film.
Yes, I killed them all.
I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them. Yeah, Hayden Christensen is now Anakin, and boy, do we owe Jake Lloyd an apology, because, man, it's like, his acting is not awful, but very stiff.
Yeah.
And, very wooden at times.
Yeah.
I think he was much better in Revenge of the Sith, for sure.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, here, they're trying to capture, he's more of an angsty teenager. He's, fed up with the Jedi. He's kind of disillusioned that he didn't become this great hero yet. He thinks Obi-Wan and the Jedi treat him like a kid. They're holding him back, and he has feelings for Padme, but the Jedi are taught not to have personal relationships.
Right, whereas Qui-Gon also kind of taught things against the Jedi.
Right, Qui-Gon was more of a rogue Jedi, kind of. He did break the rules, bend them a bit, and Qui-Gon clearly had more of an influence on Annie than Obi-Wan does.
Right. Well, yeah, because Obi-Wan's more of a restrictive force.
Yeah, Obi-Wan's by the book, basically, and this has strained their relationship, and Obi-Wan and Anakin actually don't get along in this movie, which I actually did find very interesting. The Clone Wars kind of made them into friends, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, Obi-Wan sees Anakin as kind of a kid, and it's why he doesn't really invite him on this detective case he's going solo on.
Yeah.
Yeah, way too much focus on the romance. This is what starts Anakin's turn to the dark side, because he eventually finds his mom dead in the Tusken Raiders camp, and he kills all the Tusken Raiders,
including the women and children.
Right, he killed them all, and this basically triggered his dark side, and Anakin wants to never lose people again. He wants to stop people from dying, and he thinks the galaxy needs, a benevolent dictator.
Yeah.
And, teasing he's gonna be Darth Vader, basically.
That's right, this film has that scene that got turned into a meme on the date where it's that I'm gonna create it, and Padme has to ask the same question.
The best part of episode 2 is Dooku versus Yoda. It's a bit funnier than
it's funny to see him play with CGI.
Right, CGI Yoda, and hearing Frank Oz screaming at it.
That's right. This is where
the Yoda
Lego,
yell.
Yes, the Lego death scream comes from. And it's not even as a death. It's just a yell. It's hilarious.
Don't forget, Anakin is a former Goosebumps kid. Yeah, Anakin's actor Hayden Christensen was in Night of the Living Dummy 3.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. I'm trying to convince Wolf to do it. Basically, the plot is about the creation of the clone army. Yeah, definitely. We're seeing we're basically seeing the starts of the original trilogy. The Empire, Palpatine being voted like into power,
Right.
giving him like a lot more authority than he would have had.
As just a senator from Naboo, yes.
Seeing Anakin starting to hate being a Jedi and listening to the good guys.
And then the rampant militaristic increase on both sides. We have the machines building machines. That's part of the detective story on Geonosis.
Right. They eventually lead to Geonosis, where Obi-Wan finds out that the Separatists are there, but he gets captured.
Yep.
So Anakin and Padme finally get involved in the plot, where they go to save him.
And then get captured.
Right. I love the droid factory scene. Like, a lot of
Yes.
people also hate and complain about
no,
it.
that's so good. And then
Like-
the scene after as well.
Right. Like, it is so good. I think this is where the movie finally picked up.
Yeah, definitely.
Basically, the droid scene is very cool. It is very CGI heavy, and
Yeah.
some goofy moments like C-3PO gets beheaded and is transferred
Put
on
on
a
the
droid
droid,
body. I thought that was actually funny.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They finally brought Anthony Daniels back as 3PO, and pretty good. Cool action scene. Anakin and Padme, of course, get captured, but they're taken to the Colosseum pit to be executed by cool CGI monsters.
I love all of those monsters.
Yeah, there's the giant praying mantis, the Triceratops, and this creepy tiger rat thing.
Yeah, that has to go after Padme.
Right, and clawed Padme's back.
Right.
Gave her actual blood spots. It was pretty brutal for Star Wars. However, they fight the creatures. They manage to kill the rat thing apparently, but they almost escape but get captured. However, Mace Windu and the Jedi show up.
Yep, we got all of them.
All the Jedi show up, and we get the coolest scene, finally seeing the Jedi army in action where they fight the droids.
Yep,
and
with the clones joining as the supportive army.
Episode 2 has the greatest final act of the entire movie.
I wouldn't say that. It's definitely a good final act, but I wouldn't say
it
the best.
saved the movie for me, basically. It's
Definitely.
so cool. Like, a lot of action. We finally see the characters kicking butt. We see Jedi being cool. We get an introduction to a lot of the side Jedi through this.
Ayla Secura.
Yeah, Ayla
Plo
Secura,
Koon,
Kit Fisto.
Luminara's in the background.
Barriss was also in the background.
Yeah.
And yeah, Mace Windu gets to do stuff. We get Samuel L. Jackson finally being cool. So, a lot of cool stuff. However, eventually the droids overwhelm them, but then the clones show up at the last minute where the Clone Wars officially begin. They have the epic battle in the desert. A lot of awesome explosions, effects, droids and clones being blasted sky high.
Yep.
Really awesome, and all the new toys that everyone's gonna buy.
Oh, yeah. And then, of course, Battlefront came out with this as well.
So, and as we know, it leads to Count Dooku tries to make a break for it, but Obi-Wan and Anakin are the only ones who make it to him. They almost don't because they lost Padme, and I'm saying it's Captain Rex that fell out with her.
You're saying that. I'm the one that said that first, and you know it.
Yes.
I headcanon that first just because I really like that scene.
Yeah, I agree. Like, Padme and a clone cadet fall out,
Right.
and we both theorize that this is Captain Rex before he got his promotion, that he goes back and saves Padme, he picks her up in the desert, and we believe Anakin gave him a promotion to captain because of that.
Yeah, that's the story I'm going with.
Yeah, we're calling it. That clone cadet is Captain
Right.
Rex before he became promoted. Yeah, he saves Padme. Anakin and Obi-Wan, of course, have to go on without her. And then they finally fight Dooku, where we get our epic lightsaber fight. And honestly, I thought this one was okay.
Oh, definitely.
It wasn't the greatest lightsaber fight, because Christopher Lee was actually a fencer, so he did train for this movie.
Right.
He gets cool fight scenes, but however, I hate that, like, Anakin and Obi-Wan are both idiots in this fight.
Anakin more so.
Anakin charges him, he just
That
gets
makes
shot
yeah,
in the
that's
side.
hilarious. But again, it also makes sense for the character.
Right. Obi-Wan fights him, but he fails. Anakin gets his second win and fights with dual-wielding lightsabers.
next one,
and this is where Anakin gets his hand cut off, basically.
Yep.
Count Dooku is more than a match for him and bests him. He slices his hand off and throws him aside, but then, before he finishes them, Yoda comes in, where we get Crouching Tiger, Hidden Muppet.
Yeah, we get the Yoda CGI.
Right. This was the coolest. Everyone loves this because we actually see Yoda fighting. He always has been like the wise mentor, but that's also kind of why I'm a bit mixed on it, because I always thought Yoda was kind of above that.
It's kind of ruining the magic.
Right. Oh, Ki-Adi-Mundi was in there, yeah.
Yep, Shakti as well.
Shakti.
I know someone put that.
Yeah, you can see that being Rex. Yeah, we think that was Rex.
Yeah.
They also had a double for Chris in this scene. Oh, they did. Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Christopher
At
Lee.
least for like the pulled back
it's like,
shots.
I can set probably for the
He's
parkour
also
moments. Yeah.
old.
Well, yeah, Christopher Lee was like an old guy. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I do know we did see him actually wield the sword at times. So yeah,
I will say Yoda holding the lightning ball is a cool moment.
Right.
That does get me hyped.
Like Sith lightning doesn't even hurt him. He can control it and stop it.
Yeah, because he has such a mastery of the Force.
I do like that his lightsaber comes out of his cane.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like old-fashioned style.
Like the cane swords he
Yeah,
has.
Yoda does get a chance to be kick-ass. Count Dooku cheats by trying to throw debris on Obi-Wan and Anakin, but Yoda saves them to let
Right.
Dooku escape, where Dooku flies off to be the villain of the Clone Wars.
Yep.
And we see he does go back to Coruscant with a mysterious hooded figure. Who could it be?
Right.
It's like, is it really a twist?
Yeah, it's kind of built up.
Right, he goes back to Coruscant, but he's wearing the hood, so you're not supposed to know it's him.
They have the same voice.
Right.
And then, of course, we get the amazing final shot of all the clones
Lining up Stormtrooper style, going on the Star Destroyers.
With, I think they reused one of the Stormtrooper themes
Yeah, they
from
reused,
the movie.
they reused, like, the March of the Empire, sort of,
Yeah.
but kind of remixed it a bit. So,
Right.
yeah. See, Palpatine is now in charge of the war, and foreshadowing that this means to bad events. And the movie ends with Anakin and Padme getting married.
Yep.
Yeah, they have a
Which
secret
is not a
ceremony.
happy ending, as the music tries to put.
Right, it's kind of a bittersweet ending.
Yeah.
Like they won the battle, but they haven't won the war.
Exactly. And also you have the darkness starting to turn in Anakin.
Right.
It's the fall.
So that's episode 2, and where do you want to rank this?
I'm stuck between another happy landing and much to learn. Just
Right.
because the first half.
The first half is
And all the
boring
romance.
as hell.
The detective stuff is really fun.
Jango Fett got cool fight scenes
Oh,
in
no,
this.
yeah, as I said, the detective stuff is fun.
Yeah,
He's part of the
Obi-Wan's side of the
mystery.
story was definitely good.
Yeah, it
the
was
final
the better
act
part.
definitely redeems a lot about this
Yeah.
movie. Unfortunately, the love story and the tragedy are what kind of hold it
Right.
back, because it's not executed very well. You can see what Lucas is going for.
Exactly.
There's good
yeah.
idea there, but the execution was
Right.
kind of the problem.
The Tusken Raider slaughter's also amazing, and that's in the first half.
Yeah, that was good. Unfortunately, most of it happened off screen. We see him
Yeah.
chop some, but we cut away.
Yeah,
Okay, gonna be gone for about 20 minutes. We'll probably be done with the prequels at least by then.
hopefully.
Alright, so...
Wait, I'm stuck between the B and C tier.
right. I want to put it onto Happy Landing, maybe, because I do like the third act a lot, and Christopher Lee is very cool in this movie, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually, should not say acting's good all around because of the romance stuff.
You're right, but yeah, some of the actors
the
are
characters I like are done amazing.
good. Right, and Captain Rex got his start in this movie.
Yeah, Jango Fett, I love that voice for the clones.
Right, he gets beheaded by Mace Windu.
Yeah, when Boba finds his head.
Alright, I might put on Much to Learn, or do you
I-
want Happy Landing?
I could give it to Happy Landing.
Alright.
There's the good is very good.
It'll be on Happy Landing, but it'll probably be outclassed definitely by
definitely.
later entries. Alright, so we'll give episode 2 a break. We are huge prequel simps.
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones did have good moments, but it is not a Master Jedi.
Yeah,
We'll,
it's definitely the weakest of the prequels.
we'll put it on another Happy Landing. Yoda actually needed to try very hard to lift giant objects.
Yeah.
He did, but then we see in episode 5 he doesn't piss easy.
Well, I mean,
so-
that's because he also has a lot of time on his
yeah.
hands.
It was that scene where I realized how tiny Yoda is
Yes.
in the fight scene.
Yeah, because most of the time he's just in his chair.
And he's usually a puppet, but this is where we switch to CGI Yoda, because of
Right.
course we need to do that for the fight scene.
Yep.
It's like, this isn't Muppets Treasure Island, people.
That's right. I think the first Lego Star Wars had Yoda just in the chair. And then 2 is when he finally got to move.
Right. Alright, so we're on Revenge of the Sith.
Yep.
And I don't think anyone's gonna complain. This is going on Master Jedi, definitely above Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I'm glad George Lucas finally got to use Revenge for a title.
Right, he was gonna make Revenge of the Jedi,
Exactly,
but Revenge
yeah.
is not the Jedi way.
No.
So we got Revenge of the Sith, the finale to the prequels, and ultimately what wraps up this era, leading it into the original saga.
Yeah, so we get another time skip from episode 2 to where we are now just in a hot war with the Confederacy.
Yeah, we are now in the high point of the
So-
war with the battle droids. Clones are everywhere. The Jedi are now generals.
Yeah.
Anakin has finally matured.
Kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
He thinks he has. The Jedi are not ready to give him the rank of master.
Right, we basically pass by 2 Clone Wars shows, basically telling you what happened. Apparently, there's been a huge war, and you got to read all the spin-off material for that. Like, there's a debate on how long the Clone Wars went. Like, Filoni says it happened for 10 years, but Lucas said it was supposed to be 5 years.
I could see a 5-year one.
Right. It's like, you could tell the Tartakovsky one was at least 5 years. The CGI Clone Wars show, definitely longer. Yeah. Yeah, basically, a lot of Clone Wars. Anakin has grown up some. He at least has more respect this time and is on the battlefield. The war with the battle droids has reached a high point. They are now kidnapping Chancellor Palpatine. You gotta watch the Tartakovsky show to see that.
That is a good scene, though, with Grievous kidnapping him. You have to admit that.
Yeah, it is. Like, General Grievous abducted Palpatine, and they're trying to fly off with him, but the clones are slowing down their escape. And then Anakin and Obi-Wan are tasked with ambushing him. Yep. And this is where we kick off the plot. The opening is really kick-ass. I love it. The classic fight against the battle droids, pretty much seeing a live-action Clone Wars episode.
Yeah.
They break in, they kill Dooku within the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because
Anakin has gotten more skilled.
Which, a bit disappointing, because he was like the main villain of the Clone Wars.
And then he gets dropped again. It's kind of like a Maul situation where he's just another pawn.
Yeah, he's just a pawn, he gets dropped. I do love good Anakin. Kill him. Yeah. Always
yes.
Yes. Yeah, we found out Palpatine was pretty much just using him because he wanted to train Anakin to be his real apprentice.
Yes. Also, oh god, that's right. The look of betrayal on
Dooku's face. Like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, that is another funny. This one is a lot more funny, I have to say.
Yeah, Lucas did add a lot of jokes. I think that was because it's gonna get darker later on.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's a funny opening to what is the end of a tragedy.
All right, time for my favorite of the prequels, Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, you got good taste. Episode 3
everyone loves this one. This is the one that everyone praises.
This is the good prequel, yeah.
Even the prequel haters, I think, do like this one the most.
It should have been called Attack of the Clones because the clones actually attacked the Jedi. Nah, I could see your point, but yeah.
No.
It starts with a bang with the intro. Yeah, basically we're kind of continuing on the Clone Wars for the first half of the movie. Yep. Kill him now. I shouldn't do it.
Do it.
At least it was proof that Anakin would have never defeated 100% Dooku. It's like, okay, so the death of Dooku is supposed to mean something because Dooku kind of treated him as a child and a boy and not worthy of his time, and Anakin wasn't unprepared to face him, and in this movie he is completely prepared to fight him now, and he easily bests Dooku, and Dooku finally gets like a humiliation because in the Clone Wars they were kind of arch enemies. However, Anakin finally bested him, and we find out Palpatine preferred Anakin more.
Yep.
And he dies getting beheaded, pretty hardcore R-rated death. They save Palpatine. General Grievous sort of becomes the villain for half the movie.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so Grievous was introduced in the Tartakovsky Clone Wars first, and he very abruptly gets introduced in this movie as sort of the replacement antagonist for Dooku. Because,
he's another general.
Yeah, he's the general. He was programmed to be an ultimate killer. He's a cyborg. He programmed? Well, he's a cyborg.
Yeah. It's a very weird culture. I do love it as well.
It's gone back and forth. Like, some say he's 100% machine. Some say, oh, actually he was a living being who got, like, a surgery that turned him into this.
All the armor and transplants was the kind of culture thing.
Yeah, I loved General Grievous, so seeing him on the movie was definitely great. It's like, yeah, the Clone Wars were definitely shilling and plugging him. Yeah,
if you didn't see the Tartakovsky Clone Wars, his cough in this movie feels kind of weird.
Right, apparently, like, our grandma saw it and she thought he was, like, evil laughing the entire movie. It's like, no, Mace Windu force-choked Grievous and that broke something in his systems, and he's coughing at the end of the Clone Wars, and that makes him have this weird cough all throughout the movie, struggling breathing. Yeah,
and if you haven't seen that, it does not help his look whatsoever. It actually makes him look kind of weak.
Grievous was OP in the 2D cartoon.
Yes,
he was awesome in that.
Good. I cannot glaze
there are some people who complain that they kind of nerf Grievous in Revenge of the Sith.
I mean, yeah, well, I will say that, but at the same time, he's still pretty effective.
Right. Grievous is pretty cool. I do like the new voice actor voicing him in this over the first guy in the 2D Clone Wars. The first guy gave him a very different voice. He sounded more kind of Terminator-esque in that show.
Well, he also kind of acted like that, too.
Yeah.
He was a murder machine. He killed Shaggy.
Yeah, he killed Shaggy. Shaggy became a Jedi only to get stomped on by Grievous.
I do love that his name is actually
Shaggy.
That's so good.
What's a Shaggy? Yeah, Grievous is kind of the villain for at least half the movie. They believe that if they kill Grievous, that'll finally end this war, but we don't know. Palpatine's working behind the scenes, and he's the true mastermind.
Right.
So Anakin sort of finally struggles with his morality in this movie. He's tempted by the dark side. Palpatine offers him a lot more promise. He gets more respect from Palpatine. He's practically a son to him at this point.
Yeah, and he also later tells him about the secret of Darth Plagueis.
Yeah, the tragedy of Darth Plagueis. One of the best lore-building scenes.
Yes, one of the stories the Jedi never tell.
Right, apparently Darth Plagueis was the first Sith Lord, supposedly, and he came up with this alchemy method that could allow you to be immortal, basically. Yep. He could stop people from dying, and this also explains the plot of how Palpatine and Darth Vader ruled for, like, centuries by the time of the original trilogy.
Right.
Yeah, apparently you can have immortality, but he could lose. He didn't want to lose people he loved, like Anakin. But eventually, he was murdered in his sleep by his apprentice. I wonder who it could be.
He could save everyone but himself.
Right.
Ironic.
And his apprentice, this mysterious guy, apparently stole his teachings and can share it with a special apprentice of his own, basically. And I wonder who it is.
Right. He's clearly playing to Anakin's fears and want to protect everyone dear to him.
He knows about Anakin's relationship with Padme because, let's be honest, it was not very well hidden.
No, not at all.
The Clone Wars kind of made it a lot more clear that Palpatine knew more about Anakin than implied, basically. I do like that the Filoni Clone Wars did show that how Palpatine basically befriended Anakin.
Yeah.
We do see them slowly forming a better bond. He's more like a father figure than Obi-Wan is. And that kind of sways Anakin more towards the dark side. I mean, actually disagree, since he still put up a good fight against Obi-Wan and Utapau.
Utapau is an amazing part of the story.
The Opera House scene is by far the best lore scene in All Stars. Definitely agree. It was great. Even prequel haters liked it.
Of course.
Like, we get another Obi-Wan adventure. He and Commander Cody stalk Grievous on Utapau, where they try to ambush and kill him. Hello there. Obi-Wan kind of distracts Grievous while the air support comes in and ambushes their escape route. We get a cool fight scene. Seeing Grievous in live action is pretty cool.
Yeah, especially when he detaches his arms.
It's the
that
forearms.
Entire build-up is cool. His fighting style is unique, intimidating, and actually effective, I'd say.
Right.
With him spinning two of them at you so you can't even attack.
Grievous is cool. A much cooler side villain than Captain Phasma.
Yeah,
that's
this is the one thing I do love about the prequels. They have the most creative fights when it comes to Jedi.
Right, you can tell the prequels had fun. They went crazy with this franchise and invented a lot.
Revenge of the Sith is like the culmination of the fight scenes from 1 and 2.
Right, a lot of epic fight scenes, a lot of epic war shots. The clones get a lot of cool Call of Duty battles. And
yeah, they definitely are soldiers through and through, and it shows.
The guy who played Jango Fett gets to come back and play Commander Cody, and he voices all the clones. So we actually see him unmask as Cody, okay?
Right, yeah. They're all clones of him.
Like, they fight Grievous, they get an epic fight. Grievous gets a pretty savage death in this.
He gets shot in the heart until he blows up.
His chest is ripped open and his heart is set on fire, and we see the flames burst out of his eyes.
It's amazing how much they got away with for a PG-13 audience.
Right, this one teetered on R-rated a lot, so that made it cooler.
Yeah.
A lot of droids. Grievous is finally killed, and we believe the war is coming to an end. Surprise, Palpatine is befriending Anakin, and he finally reveals who he really is, that he's the Master Sith Lord, but he can help Anakin, and he wants to actually bring order to the galaxy. We know what he actually means.
Yeah, we know what order means.
Yeah, but Anakin's falling for his lies by this point. He's totally tempted. Anakin struggles with his morals, and he does tell Mace Windu that he suspects Palpatine is the evil Sith Lord they've been hunting, the true mastermind.
Yep, so they try to kill him.
Right, they try to kill him. We get a really cool fight scene with the Emperor fighting Windu. I do hate that Kit Fisto and the other two die easily.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast those two die.
Like, two of them die easily. Kit Fisto at least got some hits in.
Because I really loved Kit Fisto. I still do. Yes. I don't know why, but I really do.
So uncivilized.
Yeah,
yeah, that was
blaster.
When Obi-Wan said that, was it supposed to be some kind of Shrek reference? I don't think so. I think it was just Lucas being funny.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, I think it was supposed to be funny. Yeah, Palpatine kills them. Windu almost beats Palpatine. He tries Force Lightning and it deforms him and gives him the Emperor face.
If only he had a second lightsaber.
Then Anakin breaks up the fight and has to make a telltale choice of who to side with, basically.
Yeah.
And I've never liked Mace Windu because he's a dick to Anakin for really no reason.
Yeah.
It's like, I kind of made the choice easier for Anakin to make.
Yeah.
Like, Mace Windu points out that Palpatine's evil, but Palpatine points out that, the Jedi are taking over. The Jedi are inflicting their own order. It's like, we're not so different.
Yeah, well, it's not that they're not so different. It's more the fact he's trying to play up, like, hypocrisy and twist the narrative around
because
it.
Anakin has fallen for it because the Jedi don't show him respect.
Exactly.
They do treat him like a kid, and they did not give him a rank to master. Remember, that was like one of the scenes.
Oh, yeah, that was one of the first scenes, or one of the scenes after the first
They
battle.
actually give him a seat on the council, but he's not promoted to master.
We do not give you the rank of master.
What? Like, that pisses him off and triggers him.
Right, because he's been training for so long and he's proven how efficient he is.
Yeah, and to Anakin's credit, he's been working with the Jedi for years and they still don't respect him, which makes his turn to Palpatine a lot more believable.
Exactly.
Because Palpatine actually does respect him and has been playing to his emotions.
Yeah, and then of course there's the one line where, before he does it, is the "I need him." Because he does need Palpatine's power in order to protect Padme and everyone else.
As I said it. Unlimited power! Yeah, in case you don't know, Anakin chooses Palpatine and they double team Mace Windu. And he's shot out the window, but... KK says he could be alive and come back in a spin-off. No, he's dead. He is fucking
Robot
dead.
Chick in Star Wars has proven he's dead.
It's like, yeah. Mace Windu's no Nick Fury, okay? Yeah. He's dead. He is dead.
I mean, even Nick Fury died.
In the Book of Nebulization, the Palpatine was actually near the speed of light. Okay, that explains how he punk killed two of the Jedi. Okay. Apparently he moved faster than the Flash. Okay. So. But the movie did not display that well.
That at least explains Star Wars Battlefront 2 with his sprint.
Where it's like running around and flipping.
No, it's not even that too in that. But more in the Battlefront 2 game, his sprint is just him flying at a crazy speed.
Let's not forget that Palpatine was actually very skilled behind the scenes, mastering all 7 forms. Yeah, Palpatine was a great manipulator. That's what made him much better than his pawns. Yeah. I think we can all agree that Palpatine Emperor is the best character in the prequels, especially in Episode 3. Ian McDiarmid is just having the time of his life in this one. Yeah, the Emperor is great in all the movies, even the god-awful Rise of Skywalker. But yeah, the guy playing him is great. He's having so much fun being this hammy, over-the-top villain. And... yeah, he made Star Wars fun. Palpatine is like up there next to Megatron in terms of badass villains.
Yeah.
To add insult to injury, the other Padawans didn't like Anakin and criticized them for being 3 years older than them, and saying that he was nothing but a slave. Oh, they did? That would have helped make his turn even more.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like a deleted scene or something.
It might have been, because Anakin was a slave child brought in, and they were, like, actually selected since babies. Yeah. They do show in Ahsoka's backstory that Plo Koon found her when she was 3.
Okay.
Yeah, they were kind of found by the Jedi themselves on quests.
Yeah.
Well, whereas Anakin was kind of picked up at random.
Yeah.
I don't know. Qui-Gon did believe the Force brought him here.
He did the test as well, and he had the high midichlorian count.
So yeah, if Qui-Gon was alive, he'd back Anakin up.
Yeah, I feel like he'd be the one to train him.
Right. He wanted to, and Obi-Wan did mention he was ready to take the Master Trials in the movie. Like, Obi-Wan was about to graduate in the Episode 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, then he died, and basically took Anakin in as a dying request for his master, and I did like that because it kind of made things a bit more awkward since Obi-Wan does not have the attachment to Anakin.
Exactly.
He's kind of like forced to because they both liked Qui-Gon, and they both wanted to respect his wish because he died as a hero.
Yeah. But back to 3.
But back to 3, the greatest movie. Yeah, Anakin becomes Darth Vader. He hasn't gotten deformed yet, but Palpatine promotes him to his right-hand man, basically.
As Darth Vader is what he knights him as.
Yep, he's They're now both in charge, and they believe this is now proof that the Jedi are evil, and use this to their advantage. Palpatine convinces the entire Senate that the Jedi are evil.
And that they should create an
empire.
intergalactic empire.
It's like they need to unite and stand against them. And Anakin goes out to basically do the Emperor's dirty work.
Yep, as Order 66 begins.
Yeah, and we get the saddest and greatest scene of the prequels, the extermination of the Jedi.
It's so good.
It is great. Like, all the clones turn against the Jedi, and all our fan favorite characters from Clone Wars get gunned down horribly.
I still hate Cody's immediate turn.
Yeah, I hated that moment. Basically, like, Obi-Wan and Anakin, Obi-Wan and Cody have, like, a bro moment.
Yeah,
he found his lightsaber.
Try to give him character. I think that's part of, like, the tragic angle. It's supposed to be like, oh yeah, at the end of the day, he's not a friend, he's a soldier.
So we get to, like, the controversial retcon. Well, they had inhibitor chips placed into them.
Yeah, I think that's completely fine.
It is fine because Obi-Wan, they have a bro moment, and when Palpatine says Order 66, it's like, kill him! So shoot him.
Yes, Commander.
Like, a random 180, kill all their Jedi friends, and... okay, so I get why they like the inhibitor chips, because the clones are basically brainwashed, which does explain the random character switch. Yeah. But I don't know. It's like, it kind of raised some questions, because they're also kind of like, in the movie, there are deleted scenes where the clones are shit-talking the Jedi and basically saying, we never should have trusted them.
I'm glad that stayed deleted.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, the inhibitor chips are kind of added to explain it, and because a lot of people were confused how the clones could go from being their greatest friends to just backstabbing them without fear.
Yes.
Don't worry, Rex got his chip taken out by Ahsoka, basically. Because we can't kill the fan favorite clone.
Yeah, good scene. That is one of the best scenes.
They all gun down. I cry every time when Ayla Secura gets executed. Oh, yeah. They blast her
went
over.
Out fighting, yeah. Same with Kiara-Mooney.
Kiara-Mooney did get some hits in.
Plo Koon just gets kind of shot down.
Right.
Shakti, same thing.
And we see that basically Anakin and the 501st Legion are marching to the Jedi Temple to finish them off at the route.
That is the most fun level in Star Wars Battlefront 2, where he plays the clones gunning down Jedi.
Right.
It's unfair,
kill the Jedi from adults to younglings, basically. And don't worry, 20 of them survive thanks to Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, at this point, no one's died from it.
Yeah, if there's anything bad that Disney's done, it's retcon that barely anyone died in Order 66.
I think Dave Filoni did the same thing.
Filoni's guilty as hell, too. Like, Filoni, KK, even Jon Favreau. It's like, so many of these Jedi survived in the later stuff. It kind of deflated Order 66, but in the movie, I still think it works. It's still good, and we do know a lot of the named Jedi we liked are dead, so
And George Lucas kills his own son in this.
Yeah, Matt Lucas cameos as a Jedi. He's the one that Bail Organa sees get killed. He gets some hits in against the clones. Yeah. They gun him down, and Organa realizes that the government's now corrupt, finally. Right. And suddenly Bail Organa became a character in this. It's like, he was in the background in episodes 1 and 2, but here he gets a lot more because he's supposed to be Leia's foster dad.
This is just connecting the dots back to the main trilogy.
Yeah, he finds out, and he actually gives shelter to Yoda and Obi-Wan, who survived. Oh yeah, Yoda beheads Commander Green.
Yeah. Well, but they're gonna kill him.
It's like, bro, those used to be your friends, man.
Well, when they're holding guns to you and you can feel the evil in them, you would kill them too.
The music in Order 66 is great too. The tragedy,
it is good.
It's like, it's John Williams, man.
Exactly,
of course
you can't go wrong.
It's like, Order 66 is one of the saddest scenes, and that music definitely helped.
Right.
The visuals help. They're finally killing the droids, but when we finally think they're winning, the clones turn on them. Yep. The Jedi are exterminated until KK and Filoni retcon that.
Obi-Wan survived, and they only thought they killed him.
They're getting back together, trying to resolve what the heck happened, what's going on. Then we find out Palpatine's administered an empire. The galaxy is now helping them, submitting to the stormtroopers. The troopers are killing all Jedi. They're now outlaws. And they find out Anakin betrayed them.
Yep, they see him actually killing them.
Yeah, we see the hologram. I'm kind of wondering where they got that footage of him bowing to Palpatine.
They really must have been spying on him.
Yeah, it's like, wow, Palpatine was actually right about being paranoid about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, Anakin goes to finally finish the war and kill the Separatists who are also hiding on Mustafar. Yep. Like, Palpatine gave them a safe space and said he'll send Vader to take care of them, and none of them worked that out, what that means.
Yeah, none of them see the betrayal coming.
Yeah, Anakin goes to Mustafar and kills them all. Gunray dies a horrible death, and we get that hard fight in the Battlefront game.
Yes.
You hated killing Poghole, the lesser. It's flying all over the place.
Yes.
And yeah, Palpatine's an Empire. Padme finally comes back in the plot, and she gets that cool line where everyone's clapping about the Empire.
Yes,
so this is how Liberty dies, with thunderous applause.
Yeah.
One of the best lines from her.
Oh, definitely. Great scene as well.
Great scene. Like, the Empire's finally coming together, and Palpatine's now officially Emperor of the Galaxy.
No one questions why he looks so destroyed and disfigured.
Well, he didn't claim the Jedi tried to assassinate him.
Yeah.
Like, it left him deformed, and he's like, now wearing the hood full time, basically. The makeup on him was pretty good. It looks a lot more gruesome than he does in episode 6. So, yeah.
Take care of them, yeah.
Take care of them, yeah. None of them figured that out.
Yeah.
Padme, and, like, Obi-Wan finally confronts Padme. He finally reveals that he knew they were a couple the whole time. And he knows Anakin's the father. He's trying to find Anakin to help bring him back to good, basically, while Yoda goes to confront Palpatine. And we get, like, one of the epic climax, like, all the prequels had epic climaxes, but this one really escalated to greatness, where we get the epic Jedi fight scenes. Obi-Wan follows Padme to Mustafar because she wants to find Anakin too and find out what's going on. And they finally reunite, and Anakin reveals that he's crazy.
Yes.
He's gone full evil mode. He's a Sith Lord now, and he hates the Jedi.
And he'll kill the Emperor if he needs to.
Right. He finally got their happy ending where they can be together, and Padme's, of course, destroyed by this.
Yeah, because it's such an evil premise.
Yeah, it's a completely and utter shock at how evil her husband's become.
Yeah. She loses all faith here.
But, Obi-Wan finally shows up confronting Anakin, and Anakin force chokes Padme fatally, but she lives a bit longer to give birth.
Yeah.
Yeah, Padme's force choking into unconsciousness, and we get the epic fight against Obi-Wan versus Anakin.
And meanwhile, we also have Yoda versus Palpatine around the same time.
Right, which I actually thought was cool. A lot of people said they felt it was unnecessary since Yoda's not going to succeed in killing Palpatine.
But it's still a good confrontation.
Right, and it also explains that Yoda did try to stop this.
Yoda just let him have. He just gives him the win.
Yoda tries to fight Palpatine. They get the cool fight in the Senate.
Yeah, where the Senate throws all the Senate chairs.
Right, he throws all the Senate. He lasers him. They're fighting. They explode. Force lightning. Palpatine survives unscathed. Yoda actually falls down and gets hurt, and I guess that's supposed to explain why he needs a cane in the original trilogy.
He also loses the white robe, so that's why he's only in the brown rags.
Right, and then Yoda has to sneak off because he's no match for the Emperor.
Right.
And Bail Organa gives him a ride, basically, and they go into hiding. Yoda realizes that he can't do anything to stop him now. He's got to go into self-exile.
Yep, to Dagobah.
And then, meanwhile, Anakin and Obi-Wan have the awesomest fight, all prequels.
Yep, amazing fight sequence.
Like, it is awesome, and it is have such grand stakes, especially because they're both former friends.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more emotion in this. There's fight across the lava. They fight in the broken droid base.
Yeah.
They're, surfing the lava.
Yeah, so trying to kill each other and survive at the same time.
I love that. If you're not with me, then you're my enemy. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. It's that's an absolute!
Yeah, that's the only absolute that the Jedi can use.
And he loses his weapon as well. Oh, did Yoda lose his lightsaber in that fight?
I would assume he did.
Yeah.
I do not remember all the details from it. He probably left it behind.
Let's not forget that E.T. species is in the movie. Yeah, Spielberg's E.T. makes a cameo because Lucas wanted to kind of pay tribute to his friend Spielberg. E.T. has his species on the council in one of the Senate scenes.
Okay, that makes sense.
And yeah, it is pretty cute and funny.
Yeah, no, I never saw that. I never would have known it.
Have you seen the video of Yoda fighting Wallace? The Wallace and Gromit in Star Wars. I've seen that trending.
I've seen one edit where Yoda's not even there.
Yeah, the fight against Obi-Wan versus Anakin / Vader didn't disappoint. Definitely agree.
Yes.
Okay, take care of them, okay? Yeah. It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. You underestimate my power. Don't try it. He jumps and he gets all his limbs sliced off.
No, just his legs.
Yeah, I think his arms were still there.
Yeah, because he has to crawl with his arm.
Yeah, and Obi-Wan gets the high ground, and instead of going around him, I guess he tries to jump him.
Yeah.
Or Anakin gets defeated by Obi-Wan and
left to die.
Burning the
death.
lava. Anakin gets his skin melted, his flesh is destroyed, he's a complete mess. Obi-Wan pretty much steals his lightsaber to give to his son one day. Because, we tied up that plot hole. Yeah. And he leaves Anakin to basically burn to death rather than, push him into the lava.
Or just even execute him like you would a friend.
No.
Well, I guess they're not friends or brothers anymore.
Some people said Obi-Wan left him to burn just to make him suffer, basically.
I could see that.
Slowly die, basically. I could buy that.
Yeah, it's inflict the same pain. That
he leaves Anakin to die. They assume he's dead.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan runs off, and I guess he adopts C-3PO and R2. Like, they take Padme's ship off. And try to take Padme to the hospital, basically. Yeah. Not Anakin, though.
Right. Well, C-3PO was basically like a assistant droid to Padme.
Right. He was a wedding gift. Exactly. Lucas did say he was a wedding gift to her. And we find out the Emperor senses Vader's in trouble and saves him. And thankfully didn't hear that what we could betray Palpatine together.
Yeah, thankfully we didn't get that on recording.
Like, he takes Vader's corpse back and basically rebuilds him into a better fighter.
Yeah.
And he becomes Darth Vader. We get the iconic masking scene, and James Earl Jones is at last back. Yeah. And simultaneously, Padme's in the hospital. She's dying, but they need to save the babies.
Right.
And we find out she's carrying twins.
Yep, she gives birth to
Luke and Leia.
She's able to name them before she dies.
Don't remember, Taika said Natalie Portman can finally be in a Star Wars movie.
That's still the most hilarious thing to come out.
That's like, this is one of her saddest scenes because Padme's dying and she still cares about the kids. And she basically gives Obi-Wan her blessing to take the children and to not tell them what happened to Anakin.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to explain why Obi-Wan doesn't tell them that your dad's the evil Hitler.
Well, I mean, even without that blessing, I think he still wouldn't tell them.
You were the chosen one. It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them. Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness. Yeah, this movie is so memorable and quotable. Revenge of the Sith is awesome.
Definitely.
Next thing you know, Obi-Wan commits to crimes that go against the Jedi Code, slicing the limbs off and letting one to suffer and die.
Yeah.
It's over. I have the high ground. Yes, we said that before.
And so, the children are born. And the children get separated. Yeah,
they have to separate them so the Empire doesn't find them, basically.
Leia's given to Bail.
He takes it because they always wanted a girl. And they do explain in the Clone Wars he and Padme are friends. Yeah. And he's basically taking his best friend's child to help raise her right.
Exactly.
While Luke is given to Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, who are... Anakin's is a strange step family on Tatooine, where Obi-Wan will watch over the boy, and we get an homage to A New Hope.
Right.
That despite this being a bad guy wins ending, there's still hope for a brighter tomorrow.
Exactly.
And Obi-Wan kind of goes into self-exile too, but he's going to take care of his best friend's child.
Yeah, he watches over as Ben Kenobi.
And Revenge of the Sith is Master Jedi. It is great.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It is friggin' excellent. Yep. Best of the prequels. I love it. I would say it's almost my number one favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
But we'll see as we go down the rest of these. I'm sure the sequels will dethrone it. Yeah. Yeah, Revenge of the Sith, very good.
Also, I heard that James Earl Jones and Carrie Fisher did not meet each other until the guest starred on a Big Bang Theory episode.
Yeah, because...
because
he was the voice.
Yeah, he was just the dubber.
Yeah, James Earl Jones was never in the suit, okay? Yeah. It was like some bodybuilder guy, but his voice sounded too fruity and unintimidating.
There are clips of it on YouTube. It's funny.
I watch them. They are funny. He sounds so soft and friendly.
But they had to go with Mufasa.
Because he had a badass voice, and James Earl Jones gets a cameo in this movie. He gets the infamous "No!" That became a meme. It's like, a lot of people didn't like that, but I think it makes sense.
Oh yeah, it's the tragic ending where he's lied to about the status of his wife.
Right, and apparently George Lucas said that scene was supposed to be where Anakin officially died and Vader's life began. Because Vader is kind of considered a different persona for Anakin, basically.
Well, he just lost the one he was trying to protect. What else does he have now?
Right, and he's now fully embraced being the villain because he thinks Padme's dead and his children are gone.
Yeah, and that he killed her was the other big thing.
And Darth Vader's last scene is we see them overlooking the Death Star construction with Tarkin, who's not CGI, thankfully.
Yeah, he was alive.
Yeah, and he and the Emperor are now finally working together and setting forth the events of the original saga.
Thankfully, they had those Wookiee slaves to help build it.
Alright, speaking of which, it's episode 4 time.
Yep.
A New Hope, the real first Star Wars movie.
Yep.
The first Star Wars movie, the franchise, and the one of the first original classics. If you don't know, this is about Luke, Leia, and Han Solo.
And Chewbacca.
And Chewie.
And R2 and C-3PO.
Right, a bunch of misfits under the crushing heel of the Empire coming together to defeat them and destroy their biggest superweapon.
Yep.
Episode 4, there's technically a time skip from the prequels.
It's a whole new generation.
Yeah, it is a whole new generation, yeah. Basically, years of the Empire ruling have passed, and there's a rebellion, basically. The rebels are being chased by the Empire. Princess Leia has the Death Star plans, because there's a weakness on the Death Star, which they can use to their advantage, and the Empire trying to get those plans back, basically.
Yep.
They track Leia's ship, they capture her, they think they won, but she gave the plans to R2-D2 and C-3PO, and they eject in a space escape pod where basically they detect no life forms, and I guess they don't shoot it down.
Well, yeah, there's no life forms in there. There's nothing to shoot.
Hold your fire? What, are we being paid by the laser now?
You don't do the budget.
I do. The start of the classic trilogy. Definitely love all 3. I mean, you can't go wrong. Yeah, the original trilogy is pretty much perfect.
Yeah, it's really good.
So I don't think anyone's going to complain if we put this on Master Jedi. I will put it under Revenge of the Sith,
That's
though.
fair.
Episode 4 I do not think tops it yet, because I know it's a starting point and it's good, but 3 was definitely a high point.
Yes.
Episode 4, basically, we follow C-3PO and R2 for a while, and fortunately they landed on Tatooine, where after some wacky mishaps with Jawas, they get bought by Luke Skywalker's family.
Yep.
We meet Luke, played by Mark Hamill in one of his first acting roles.
That's still amazing.
Right. Did you know Robert Englund almost became Luke Skywalker?
Oh man, what a timeline that would have been.
Yeah,
would Mark Hamill have been Freddy?
Right. Robert Englund actually auditioned to be Luke at one point, but didn't get it, so he actually recommended Mark Hamill as like his roommate at the time.
Oh wow, jeez.
He actually told him about the role, and he should try too himself, and wouldn't you know, he succeeded.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's an alternate timeline where Mark Hamill probably became Freddy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, so we meet Luke, we meet Leia. Leia's being held prisoner by the Empire, and remember, there have never been strong, independent women in Star Wars before, Rey, because Leia's actually mouthing off to the Empire and dissing them and rejecting their torture.
Yep.
She doesn't crack, like, she's taken to Grand Moff Tarkin, that was his name, yeah, Tarkin. Yep. Tarkin is still ahead of the Empire, played by the great horror icon Peter Cushing.
Yep.
Thankfully not in CGI, so yeah. Tarkin and Vader are actually both equals among the Empire. Like, Tarkin's more of their tactician and general strategist, while Darth Vader's definitely an enforcer and the right hand to the Emperor. Basically, I was kind of hoping Kylo Ren and Hux had this same relationship, but yeah, no, Vader and Tarkin did it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sad thing is, Peter Cushing actually said he really loved being in Star Wars and wished he could come back, and he never did until the Clone Wars show brought him back. Right. Because, well, he unfortunately dies in this movie, too. Yeah. So it would be kind of hard. Yeah, Tarkin and Vader are pretty cool villains. They are the main antagonists for this chapter. Yep. They basically have control of the Death Star, a giant planet-sized spaceship which has a laser that can blow up planets.
Yep, as we see with the destruction of Alderaan. Unemployment rate goes down to 0%. Good job, Darth Vader.
Right. They capture Leia and bring her aboard to be interrogated and tortured for information on the rebels, because Leia is actually a leader among the rebellion. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so there was apparently a backstory where she was actually pretending to be a part of their Empire politics and was supporting them. She was like a princess of a planet they ruled until she was secretly a part of the rebels, basically.
Right, which, yeah, she definitely got that from Bale.
Right, and she and the Organas are kind of exposed by this, basically, when they capture her with the Death Star plans. She's tortured by the weird probe droid with the syringe.
Yeah, creepy looking thing.
Yeah, she's interrogated. They find out, oh, she actually lied to us and gave us a fake planet to go to.
Yep.
So they consider... And so Tarkin considers terminating her because this means she's now useless and not going to break. But meanwhile, Luke is on Tatooine where he meets C-3PO and R2 and finds out that they're major rebel droids. They have a message that was supposed to go to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right, which he doesn't know the full name, but he knows of Ben Kenobi.
Who's their old neighbor, and we now know has secretly been watching Luke this whole time to protect him.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan was a former Jedi who served in the Clone Wars.
Alongside Luke's father.
Yeah, we know that from the prequels, all that. And Leia basically is desperate for help in this rebellion, and she's calling out to him to come out of retirement and help save their asses.
Right, because she had heard of the legends, and also the time where he helped her escape the other stormtroopers in the show she had.
Right. Luke is a total noob in this, because on their way to find Obi-Wan, they're attacked by sand people.
Yeah, he's a farm boy.
Yeah, Luke's kind of beaten up easily.
Yeah, he does moisture farming.
I heard that in the parts where you see the upper part of Tarkin, Peter wasn't wearing pants.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, really? It was probably, like, just doing his hot above scenes. Okay.
God, I wonder what that was like.
Why? That was weird.
But okay, thanks for that fun bit of trivia. Also, hello, cool show.
Nice to see you. Pure Luke, yeah. Poor Luke. Okay, sorry, poor. Yeah, Luke kind of gets his ass kicked for the first half of this movie. He's pretty much the rookie kid who's slowly becoming a hero. He's not great yet, of course.
Yeah, he's just answering the call to adventure.
Right. He's pretty much an outcast loser who doesn't think he has a future that's very bright. He's going to be working on the farm forever.
Right.
However, he stumbles upon the Empire. He befriends Obi-Wan. We find out Obi-Wan was secretly this ultimate badass back in the day, and he's still pretty badass. He saves Luke from the Sand People with his weird voice trick.
I don't know what that is still.
Yeah, he saves them and he reveals himself, and we finally meet classic Obi-Wan, played by the late Sir Alec Guinness, and I really like his Obi-Wan.
Yes.
He was awesome.
Ben Kenobi is just as good as Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan.
Yeah, the old Obi-Wan, the first guy from the original trilogy, he is so great in these movies. He is basically the wise, eccentric mentor. He's a friend, he knows better, he actually supports Luke. I guess he learned from not raising Anakin, right? So
yeah, probably.
Alec Guinness, a legend. He is the greatest Obi-Wan. It's like, a lot of people didn't think Ewan McGregor could outdo him, but they were both good.
Yeah.
And, like, I really love his warm grandfatherly love he kind of gives. He's actually friendly, he's optimistic, and he's very wise. This is definitely the old sage mentor character.
Yeah.
OFC Obi-Wan is badass. He did teach Anakin.
Yep.
Even though Ewan McGregor is my favorite Obi-Wan, Alex Guinness is great as the older, wiser Obi-Wan.
Definitely.
Yeah, this was a pretty cool Obi-Wan. Everyone loves this version of the character, and of course there's still prequel haters who complain that he's not Guinness great.
Well, yeah, they're two different characters, basically.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor played Obi-Wan back in his youth, and this guy is a lot more
this is an Obi-Wan who's learned from his mistakes.
Right. He is so good, and basically he takes Luke under his wing, and he finally gets the message, but Obi-Wan realizes he can't do it alone. He does need help, and he tries to recruit Luke to help him. Yeah. Luke is a bit reluctant, but then we find out the Empire killed his aunt and uncle.
Yeah,
they've been tracking the droids because Darth Vader finally figured out that they have the plans on them.
Yep.
And they've been killing and destroying all in their path. The Empire came to Tatooine, and they're questioning civilians.
Yep. They
killed Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru.
And also the Jawas.
And the Jawas, yeah, the Sandcrawler was destroyed.
Right, the shots were too precise for Raiders.
And Luke finally realizes he has nothing left, and he does join Obi-Wan on his call to adventure. They meet Han Solo and Chewie with the great Harrison Ford.
Yep, who hates this role character.
Allegedly, Harrison Ford hates this, but he loves Indiana Jones.
Yeah, and he also apparently wants to be back in Marvel.
Right.
It's just Star Wars he hates for some reason.
Yeah, well, he apparently had some bad run-ins with the nerdy fan base, apparently.
Okay.
And he says, like, he gets annoyed by their stupid questions, and
that's fair,
I don't know what a Force ghost is, and I don't care, he said at one point.
That's fair.
So yeah, Harrison Ford, who is the only actor who had a big career after this movie, as a Family Guy would point out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, basically, Han Solo's a troubled scoundrel smuggler, and Obi-Wan offers to pay him for a ride, basically, because he's a lot more reasonable compared to the other wretched hive of scum and villainy.
In Mos Eisley Spaceport.
Han Solo actually gets some pretty good character development, because he basically is the asshole, but then he becomes a friend of the group.
Yeah, he comes around after.
Yeah, it's basically more of Han Solo's hero arc than Luke's in this movie.
Yeah.
Luke gets the entire trilogy. Han gets basically the first 2 movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, Han Solo takes them up on their offer to pay them for a lift across past the Empire forces. Yeah. We see that weird fly guy was apparently a spy watching them. He rats them out. Epic fight scene. They escape Tatooine together, finally, like halfway through the movie.
Right, and as they're flying, they get tractor beamed.
Yeah, they bump into the Death Star. We find out the Death Star destroyed Princess Leia's home planet.
Right.
And tragically, Bail Organa was on that planet, so he's now canonly dead.
Yep.
The planet was blown up. We get a taste of the Empire's true evil and how powerful the Death Star is.
Right.
It's like, yeah, this was like... Remember, this is the first time something like this was done. A giant spaceship shaped like a planet which can destroy other planets.
Yeah.
It's like, that would have, like, devastating power, and it has, of course, been, like, copied later by sci-fi,
Well,
but...
yeah, it's just one big super weapon.
Like, actually seeing a giant spaceship blowing up planets is, like, so scary and deadly.
That's no moon. That's a space station.
Right. They try to go to Leia's planet, find it destroyed, and then they get trapped by the Death Star, where we get the classic badass rescue mission where everyone gets a chance to shine, have a hero moment, badass action sequences. Han and Luke disguise themselves as stormtroopers.
Yeah.
And hilariously, the armor doesn't fit Luke because he's so small at this point. They find out Leia's being held prisoner here, so Luke, Han, and the gang try to save Leia while Obi-Wan goes to knock out the tractor beam, and Darth Vader senses him, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, they work together to escape the space station. I do love that Luke and Han slowly become friends during their rescue mission.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's very clear Han doesn't like Luke in this movie.
No, he doesn't even believe in the Jedi either.
He doesn't believe in the Force, but he does believe in Kabbalah. Got this Kabbalah bracelet. Wolf, by the way, you're pretty epic, but Cat will always be top tier.
That's fair.
That's fair. That's because Wolf doesn't do as much movies. That's no moon, it's a space station.
Yep.
I heard Harrison Ford was not allowed to audition because Lucas wanted unknown actors in his space opera, mainly because he'd worked with him on American Graffiti. Yeah, Harrison Ford was in that movie.
Yeah.
That was also a Lucas movie.
Okay. Oh, so you're just trying to get more
they thought
actors in, got it.
Right. He wanted new faces, basically.
Fair.
And Harrison Ford was famous on American Graffiti at first.
Yeah.
You know, until he became Indiana Jones and Han Solo.
I also can't tell if that guy's wearing a mask or not. The Lego game makes it look like... Yeah, I think it is.
I honestly thought it was the Emperor at first in the game, because... No, it was the Fly guy, and he's got, like, such a plastic-looking face in this movie.
Right, it might just be his face.
Yeah, I think he's an alien.
Yeah. Lego Star Wars definitely helped me understand that character better, though.
Right. Luke saves Leia, and we do have to address there's kind of a love triangle.
Yeah, so these are the first films,
right.
so the relationship is not set in stone yet.
Right. Lucas did not plan to have Luke and Leia related at first, okay? Yeah. It was clearly the first movie.
Yeah, it's also... This is clearly also like the old fantasy stories of the knight saving the princess.
Yeah.
So of course in those stories the knight gets the princess at the end, and so why should that be any different here?
Right. So there's kind of a love triangle. Both Luke and Han kind of fall for the princess.
Right.
And Leia is actually no damsel in distress. She's actually pretty badass. She shoots troopers dead, and she actually takes charge at points.
She's the one that saves them by shooting the vent as well.
Yeah, again, KK said there were no strong women until we got Rey.
She's clearly proven herself.
Bull crap. Princess Leia is badass.
Yes.
As soon as they break her out, she's taking charge and gunning troops dead.
I mean, she did almost kill the Blues Brothers.
Right. They have moments, they get to shine, they save Leia, they help, they fight, they kill troops, and Obi-Wan, of course, just deactivates the tractor beam. The troopers somehow fail to notice him.
Right, because he was just around the other side.
And we see dabbles of him using the Force. He can do mind tricks on troopers, he like makes sounds for them to follow.
Right.
And eventually Darth Vader senses Obi-Wan, but remember, they actually met before on the Disney Plus show. So he hasn't sensed this presence in years. And by years, I mean, like, what, 2 years ago?
Yep. And so as the main four are breaking out, Obi-Wan gets confronted by Darth Vader.
They have a fight, and Obi-Wan knows they'll try to save him, so he actually sacrifices himself so they wouldn't.
Yep.
Like, Obi-Wan becomes one with the Force, and he slides, but it's done in kind of a mystical way. We see Vader slash him, but no body hits the ground. It's like
he just
his
disappears.
robes kind of fall, and Darth Vader stomps on them to see if he's in there, I guess. They have a fight. Luke loses Obi-Wan. He's actually the first main hero death we actually see in this saga, and it's pretty sad. They escape. The heroes actually become friends through this, and we get that awesome fight where they take the Falcon guns and shoot TIE fighters. I just want to tell you all good luck. We're all counting on you.
Yeah.
They have the awesome fight, and they actually do become friends. Han Solo finally respects Luke a lot after this.
Yeah.
Leia becomes friends with Luke. They're all happy they escaped. They return to the rebellion, and they finally deliver the Death Star plans, where we find out, oh, there's actually a weakness on this giant spaceship.
Yep,
it's an exhaust port, which was somehow overlooked in construction. Rogue One explained this away, but
yeah.
Yeah, there's an exhaust port. If you shoot a laser into it, it heads straight to the reactor and blows it up.
Yeah, it's a straight shot towards the core.
Yeah, however, it's like only 3 meters long, the size of a womp rat. Yeah, and it's like
shoot them with my T-16 all the time.
Right, it's quite literally a 1 in a million shot. You have to go down this trench and shoot it.
Yeah, you're really threading the needle with it.
But if they miraculously do this, it'll destroy the Empire's ultimate superweapon and give them a lot less reign in the galaxy.
Yeah. And it's not a victory, it is a good blow.
Yeah, it is basically crippling the Empire's reach, kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, they're not dead, but destroying this will set them way back.
Right.
So, of course, they all gear up with, like, X-Wings and Y-Wings. Luke finally gets his dream of being a pilot, where we get to see him fly. However, Han Solo decides he's leaving because he got his reward.
Yeah, he did his job.
Right, he did his job, and, oh, I thought you changed, but, like, no, Han's only out for himself, and he's totally leaving.
Yep.
And Han basically parts with Luke on good terms, at least. He does say, may the Force be with you, even though he doesn't believe in it, which is actually a nice acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Han supposedly leaves while Luke becomes the main hero, and we get the cool Rogue One style fight scene. George Lucas used a lot of models for this scene. Like, none of it is digital. It is all models.
Yeah. Well, that goes with all of the, like, ships, I'm pretty sure.
Hooray for convenient design flaws. Yeah. And now he's become more powerful than we can possibly imagine. Yep, Obi-Wan.
Yeah, he could summon lightning if he wanted to.
Alright, one guy's gonna disappear for like 30 minutes. Don't worry, we'll probably be done with the originals by then. Yeah. So basically, they fight on the Death Star. We all know they lose fighters slowly. I do like how it's kind of hopeless for at first.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're going up against the Empire when they're just a scrappy rebels that came together.
Right, of
course, they're at the disadvantage.
It's like barely even like 20 or 30 pilots basically all heading out, and they only have this 1 in a million shot. They have basically 2 teams go down the trenches and they both fail. Yep. Like, one guy, like, barely misses. One team gets entirely obliterated by Darth Vader before they even reach it. And eventually, as soon as the numbers start dwindling, they even lose Porkins. And Luke sort of takes over because he's one of the last few left.
Yeah, and even then he still loses his 2 support ships.
Right, Luke goes down there. They lose Biggs, who had a deleted scene where he and Luke apparently hung out.
Yeah.
They lose Biggs, and we're supposed to care because they had this friendship before they signed up. Oh, but don't worry. What's his name? Wedge Antilles. He's in this game, and he actually lives.
Yeah.
He got shot and lost a wing, but no, they tell him to pull out. So he lives because he's like the director's son or something.
Okay.
And Luke finally is like, he's being chased by Darth Vader, and he listens to Obi-Wan, whose spirit comes in, tells him to use the Force.
Well, also, Han Solo comes back to shoot Vader off.
Han Solo shows up last minute to be a hero, saves the day, kills Vader's escort, and Vader's sent flying across space.
Yep.
And thanks to the Force encouragement from Obi-Wan, he shoots it down.
Yep, without the targeting locator.
Like, the Death Star, like, almost comes close to shooting the Rebel base and counting down, and boom, they blow up. Tarkin is dead.
Yep.
Yeah, they destroyed the Empire's super weapon, and like a handful of fighters in the Millennium Falcon fly back.
Yeah.
And they get the reward show where all get medals except for Chewie.
But don't worry, the sequels will fix that.
Hans Olo, you gotta
Mine says participant.
They get that epic finale, yeah. Honestly, I will put it in Master Jedi. I thought it was good.
It is a good start for the series, yes.
It is a movie classic, yeah. This is one of like those movies like on the 1001 movies of all time you have to see.
I'm surprised all of them aren't.
Like,
at least
the original trilogy are all on it. Like, apparently Force Awakens briefly made it on.
Yeah.
But then got dethroned.
Yeah, because I could see it because of the hype around it at first.
Right, yeah.
We'll get to that.
Episode 4 is a classic. It is a masterpiece, and it made George Lucas famous, okay?
Red 1 standing by. Red 6 standing by. Big Red standing by. Red Fox standing by.
Red October standing by. Helen Redding standing by. Simply Red standing by.
I'm glad we're not the only ones who've watched those specials.
Family Guy Star Wars, those were great.
And Robot Chicken Star Wars.
Unfortunately, we're never getting the Cleveland Show doing the prequel trilogy, like they said. Yeah, okay, episode 4, Master Jedi. So, let's move on to The Empire Strikes Back, episode 5 now.
Yep.
Okay, so do I even need to say anything? This one goes on Master Jedi.
Yeah.
Does it outclass episode 1 and 4 for you? This is considered one of the greatest sequels of all time.
Yes, well, it's also a sequel that's so much different than normal because of how it ends.
Right.
There is no victory to this.
Is like very much a downer ending in this one. The Empire is now pissed and striking back. Yeah. The Empire does what it promises. It strikes back, and it is now out to crush the rebellion. It has them on the ropes this time in this movie.
I mean, yeah, they destroyed their super weapon. Of course, they've proved themselves to be a big threat.
And we get the introduction of the Super Star Destroyer, which is a Star Destroyer that can actually pick up other Star Destroyers.
It's just bigger.
It's a much huger, I think it's called the Executor.
I think so.
It is like Darth Vader's flagship now after he lost the Death Star, basically.
Didn't you have a Lego of it?
No, I had the regular Death Star. We had one of the mini models.
No, I mean of the Star Cruisers.
Oh, the Star Cruisers?
I thought you had one.
I
you
don't
may have
think
had the
so.
Republic one.
I know we had the Republic one, yeah.
Okay, that's something of them.
Yeah, I didn't have too many of the Empire ones. I had the main TIE fighters, basically, so yeah.
I remember.
So basically, Darth Vader, we actually get an introduction to the Emperor, who's the real brain behind the Empire.
Yep.
And he had a different appearance in this one until the special edition CGI'd the episode 3 face on there. Yeah, the Emperor weirdly looked more like a demonic monkey, apparently.
I need to rewatch this film then.
I think there was. I could look up pictures. Hang on. Hang on. Original Emperor Palpatine.
Empire Strikes Back, yeah.
Okay, yeah. He looked.
What?
Yeah, this is what he looked like.
Yeah, it looks like a mask.
Yeah, apparently it was also a woman who played him as like the stunt double.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to get a bigger picture. Yeah, this is what he originally looked like. It was a lot more deformed and Skeletor-esque.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah, is that weird?
I do not remember
and this is where the special edition gave him the prequel guy.
Yeah, thankfully the special edition. That is one of the good fixes that George Lucas has done.
Yeah, this is what the Emperor really looked like at first.
Eaton, huh? Okay.
Yeah, apparently this was what the Emperor originally looked like before special editions came and fixed that.
Yeah, that one is a good fix. The other fixes are...
Yeah, he had more of a bloated, fat-looking monkey face.
Well, as I said, looks like a mask.
Yeah, the Emperor is now demanding results from Darth Vader, and they need to crush the rebels. They finally have him on the run, which makes sense because he lost most of their fighters and were that one base on Yavin. So yeah, they moved to the ice planet Hoth.
Yep. Which they are getting pushed to the brink.
Yeah, it is a terrible death world, basically. There are wampas walking around killing and eating people. The Empire's like shooting probe droids across the stars to find them.
Yep.
My favorite Star Wars movie to me, love Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, it is pretty good.
Yep.
Darth Vader gets more action here, and we get to see more menacing and power from him. Yeah,
Yes.
Vader finally gets a lot more revealed about him in this movie.
Yeah.
Vader is pretty much the main villain in this. We do see the Emperor commanding him, but Vader is a lot more involved in the plot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, they lost Tarkin.
Yeah, this was one of the few good changes in the special edition. Yeah, the Emperor's face was definitely a lot better when it was the real guy. Yeah, so basically, the heroes are now getting a lot more frustrated because they're on the losing end of the war. Obi-Wan's Force Ghost appears to Luke when he's out in the snow dying and tells him he has to continue his Jedi training and become a better warrior.
Yep.
He must find Yoda in the Dagobah system.
Yep.
And we get a lot more of the Jedi finally revealed in this movie. Yoda is in his self-exile on Dagobah at this
the
point.
aloof alien.
Right. Eventually, the Empire finds them, and we get the coolest land battle to me, the Battle of Hoth. I still think this is really epic. The giant camels, dog walker things, the giant AT-AT tanks are so cool. Right. The snow speeders, they're fighting unorthodox methods using, harpoon cables to tie their legs.
Again, they're so creative with their fights.
Right.
It's not like a typical war. They're using everything they can think of.
Right. Luke even loses his fighter and grapples onto one of them and throws a bomb into it.
Yep.
They're pretty much desperate in this fight. The Empire is pretty much throwing everything at them.
Yeah, they have an entire army they can throw at them. The Rebellion just has themselves.
Right. The Hoth base, the Empire actually wins this battle. The Hoth base is destroyed. They invade. Han Solo is still there, and he takes Leia with him, and is pretty much her only way off the planet.
Yeah, they barely, sneak out.
Yeah, they barely escape Darth Vader. The snow troopers are, shooting at them. The Falcon is damaged from the last battle, apparently.
Yeah.
They barely escape. Luke eventually leaves in his X-Wing, and he goes to Dagobah to find Yoda.
Yep. Meanwhile, Leia and Han are looking for allies and go to Bespin.
Right. The Empire comes dangerously close to capturing them, basically.
Yeah.
They have Leia and Han on the ropes. Leia and Han are both very angry in this movie. They hate each other, but they're forming their relationship, basically. It's pretty much the enemies to lovers kind of trope.
Yeah.
Because Han Solo's a dick, but he's got a good heart, and Leia's kind of an ice queen in this movie. She's a lot more pissed off in this one, I think.
As the general, she should be, I think.
That's right, because she is kind of separated from her troops, basically, after the Hoth battle.
Yeah.
And she's kind of forced to put up with Han, and they're trying to fly to a rendezvous point, basically.
Right.
There's two plots in this movie. Han and Leia are traveling to the rendezvous point, trying to seek shelter somewhere.
Right.
Well, Luke is on his Jedi quest to find Yoda.
Yep.
And so he lands on Dagobah, and he finds this weird, funny Muppet guy voiced by Kermit the Frog.
Yep.
Yeah, Frank Oz, who is Yoda, and I will say he's pretty good. Of course he is.
Right.
It's he was cool in the prequels too. They got him. Frank Oz is a legend, and Yoda's kind of goofy at first, but we find out this was a secret test of character or something.
Right.
He was pretending to be crazy, and he was testing Luke's patience, basically.
Yeah.
Seeing if Luke had what it takes to be a noble Jedi Knight. And we find out, surprise, this funny Muppet dude is actually the wise Master Yoda.
Yep. Sadly, he does not get his funny song in this movie.
Right, yeah.
I love that song. I've listened to it a couple times now.
Yeah, so Obi-Wan's spirit talks to Luke in this, and Luke realizes this is Yoda, and he has to prove himself and basically work hard, train hard, and master the Jedi ways. And this is the first time we finally learn of the Jedi, technically in the original release of these movies. We find out the Jedi were mythical heroes, mythical knights. They wield magic, can move stuff with their mind. And Luke is a bit perplexed by this. He doesn't fully believe yet.
Right. Well, he still kind of thinks Yoda's lost it.
Right. He thinks Yoda's this crazy old man. And definitely Frank Oz was over the top in this movie.
Yes.
We find out, no, he's actually wise. Yoda is that eccentric teacher, basically. He's weird and he's crazy, but he's actually pretty smart. He's actually very deep, very knowledgeable, and there's more to him than meets the eye, basically.
It's kind of the Merlin of this story.
Right, and I do love this scene where Yoda shows off what the Jedi are truly capable of. Like, Luke's X-Wing fighter is sinking in the swamp, and Yoda tells him, oh, use the Force to take it out. And Luke is struggling. He can't do it, basically. He almost does, but he can't. It's just not possible. And Yoda shows how powerful the Force really is, lifting up the X-Wing with his mind.
Yep.
And yeah, it's played by the epic John Williams music. We see the X-Wing hovering, and Luke is like so in awe about this. He's like,
anyone would be if they saw that.
Like, it is the first like real show of power people had when we saw the Force's capabilities.
Yeah, we saw a minor bit of Force in the first movie.
Yeah, Obi-Wan uses some tricks, but nothing of this scale.
Yeah, this is to show there is a lot more to be done with it. Like, the Jedi were a threat.
Do not. There is no try.
Yep.
It's like my favorite lines were like Luke sees the X-Wing land. He says, "I don't believe it. That is why you fail."
Yes.
A lot funnier now with our lingo. Yeah, because Luke is basically not believing in the Force wholeheartedly yet.
Yeah.
That is the power. He's actually holding himself back because of his own weaknesses.
Yeah, his own fears. As is shown when he goes in the cave.
Right, he goes into the cave, and basically you have to confront the dark side, and we get that spooky scene where he fights Vader. He kills him,
reveal himself underneath the
and
mask.
very clever foreshadowing of the infamous twist. But some people said, oh, it could be Luke sees himself becoming Vader or something.
I think that is what the scene's supposed to be.
Right, well, I thought it was kind of hinting that, oh, it's his dad.
It could be both. It could
like
be twofold.
Like, it's saying they're kind of related.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's definitely a key scene that foreshadows events in both this movie and Episode 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke is training, but he's not getting the full hang of it. He's getting the combat right, he's in physical shape, but he hasn't mastered the mystical side yet.
Right.
He's not in tune with the Force fully, and he's still attached to his emotions.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, while this is happening, we get wacky antics with Han and Leia flying across the galaxy. They're almost eaten by a space worm.
Yeah, on the asteroid they have to hide in.
Chased by TIE fighters, that epic chase scene through the asteroid belt.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of meteors hit TIE fighters. And Han remembers, oh yeah, he has a best friend in a nearby town called Bespin who they could crash with.
Yep.
Basically. And we meet Lando. Remember, there were no black characters in Star Wars until Finn.
Uh-huh.
We meet Lando, who's also kind of a smuggler, kind of scoundrel guy, but he's a
talking politician.
Right, he's a lot more charming than Han.
Right.
And we get another love triangle where Lando flirts with Leia.
Of course.
Yeah, because Billy D. Williams is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lando basically gives him shelter because he and Han were bros, basically. Leia is like crashing with them and trying to make contact with the rebels. They do find out where the rendezvous point is, but Lando's insisting they stay. Yep. They stay on there. C-3PO gets ambushed and shot by someone. And we find out in a twist, the Empire has conquered Bespin.
Right.
And Lando is working with Darth Vader, who captures them.
Yeah, and it's not just like an evil thing. He's doing it to look after his people.
Right, and technically Boba Fett helped too, because they hired bounty hunters to track the Falcon.
That's right, they had like 5 bounty hunters.
Yeah, we saw Dengar, we see Forlom, we see Bosk, and
droid.
Zuckuss, yeah, they're all there. I love Family Guy inserted Dog the bounty hunter in the lineup. Yeah. The bounty hunters, Boba Fett basically tracked him to Bespin, and he, I guess off-screen told the Empire they were going there, because the Empire gets there first, basically.
Yeah. Yeah,
they ambush them, they torture Han, torture Leia.
There's the cool scene of Vader just blocking the lasers.
Yeah, it takes them, we'd be honored if you join us for dinner. And then Robot Chicken actually showed that part.
That's such a good one.
Oh, boom! Parts of Alderaan going everywhere. Very funny stuff. And to Empire's credit, this is where the movies got really dark.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Empire is like pretty much winning in this movie, and the heroes are suffering a lot more.
Yeah.
Like, Luke senses that his friends are in trouble, and Yoda warns him not to go because his training's not ready yet, and Vader will definitely be there.
Right.
However, Luke trusts his judgment over Yoda's and decides to go anyway. Yoda doesn't stop him, but warns him that he won't be ready.
Right.
And Luke flies off, but while this is happening, where we see more of Han and Leia coming close together because they have each other, Chewie finds C-3PO being thrown in the trash, basically, and beats up the Ugnaughts and takes his corpse back and rebuilds him.
Yep.
C-3PO's head is backwards because we gotta have some lightheartedness in this.
Yeah.
But basically, Boba Fett and Darth Vader reach an agreement to freeze Han and Carbonite because Boba Fett is like doing this for Jabba the Hutt's bounty of him.
Yep.
They decide to use the Carbonite machine. Throughout this movie, Darth Vader is actually decided he wants to take Luke in as his apprentice. Like, he's figured out who Luke is, and he's setting up these elaborate plans for him. We don't know why yet, but he wants to turn Luke over to the dark side.
Yeah.
So they build the Carbonite machine, and Vader actually wanted to use this on Luke, but they use Han as a test subject.
Yeah.
We get the tragic scene where Han Solo is frozen in Carbonite, and he and Leia finally confess their love.
You.
I know. So romantic.
Right.
Han Solo's frozen. Allegedly, Harrison Ford actually wanted to be killed off in this movie, and Han Solo was supposed to be executed in this scene, but they change it to, he's actually frozen. He's alive in there. And Han Solo's turned into a Carbonite statue where Boba Fett takes him back to Jabba as an award.
Which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool idea. And basically, we write him off until next movie.
Yeah.
I do love, he's going to Jabba's palace. All right, even though we know here he is, let's wait a few years before actually saving him.
Oh,
that was Family Guy.
Oh,
that was
wow,
Family Guy.
Okay.
Lois, I love you. Fuck off. That's what Peter said.
Right, yeah.
That's so weird. Yeah, so Leia's going to be taken to be executed on Vader's ship, but Lando has his change of heart because this deal has gotten worse all the time.
Yeah, you've altered the deal.
Pray I don't alter it any further. Here's a unicycle.
You must ride it.
Yeah, Lando finally stands up for himself. He turns good. He helps them. Chewie almost strangles Lando in rage.
Yeah.
Which I don't blame him.
Of course not.
Lando reveals he only did this for the people, and he wants to help them get off this planet because the Empire is basically turning Bespin into a police state.
Exactly, yeah.
And Lando reveals keeping them alive because they want to set a trap for Luke. Luke finally arrives, and the trap does work. They lured Luke away from them, and Vader challenges Luke to a one-on-one fight.
Yep, and Luke does not win. He does not even hold a candle to Vader.
Yeah, he gets some defenses in there, but yeah, he gets his ass kicked. Darth Vader is scary and powerful in this movie.
Yeah, there is a massive skill gap between them, especially with Luke's incomplete training.
And it is very clear Vader is now just toying with him halfway through the fight. He's like using the Force to hurl debris at him, and he throws him out a window. He's not going in for killing blows yet, basically,
Right.
and even though he can at any time. And yeah, Yoda was right. Luke was so not ready for this fight, and he loses his hand in the fight.
Yep.
Vader slices it off, and we get the famous twist of all cinema.
Yep.
Yeah, Darth Vader is Luke's father.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm spoiling it for any of you who live under a rock.
But if you know German, you would know Vader is actually father in it.
Somehow I've returned. Oh, hey, just some random guy.
Welcome back.
Give Luke a hand for trying.
Yep.
Yeah, we're on episode 5.
We're
Empire
about
Strikes
to end
Back.
it, honestly.
Yeah, about to end it. Luke survives, and Vader wants his son to join him, and they can rule the galaxy. Luke rejects that and tries to kill himself, basically. He falls to his death rather than join. However, he miraculously survives hanging on a TV antenna.
Yeah.
Lando and Leia finally escape. R2 actually helps them because he was with Luke till they got separated.
Yeah.
They escape the Empire's grasp, but Leia senses Luke contacting her, teasing that Leia's might be Force sensitive. Yeah. She decides to go back, and they save Luke from falling off that antenna, somehow finding him in all that city.
Well, it's the connection they got.
Yeah, they turn the ship around.
Take it
back to Bespin.
Turn it
upside down. They save Luke.
Yeah.
They get him back. They barely escape. R2 and C-3PO finally pull through and fix the ship, where they hyperspeed out before Darth Vader catches them.
Yep.
And Darth Vader and Luke are now on, like, separate sides, and they know the truth about each other. Vader knows his son is alive. Luke knows that the worst person in the galaxy is his dad.
Yep.
They get back, they finally make it to the damn rendezvous point, and they give Luke his robot hand, where we end on kind of a sad ending, and Lando and Chewie are going to Tatooine to scout out for Han.
Yep.
And Lando's wearing Han's clothes for some reason. Very weird. We end on this bittersweet but cool John Williams soundtrack where they lived but they lost. They're gonna fight another day.
Okay.
And that was Empire Strikes Back. And it is Master Jedi, but does it outdo Phantom Menace or A New Hope?
That's what I
don't know. I just really love Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
That was the thing. Empire Strikes Back is definitely a good movie. I mean, it made it up this high.
Yeah.
Like, it is a masterpiece, basically, and it was a changing point for Star Wars. It's like, this wasn't dumb kiddie sci-fi adventures. This was like a real epic.
Yeah.
A real war movie. People actually die and suffer in this movie, and there's genuine good world building, epic storytelling, danger, and a lot of love. George Lucas clearly loved this saga, as you could tell in the prequels, but yeah, this one ramped it up even further. It is very much a tragedy kind of story.
Wolf, there's something I have to reveal to you. I am your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate.
Then what does that make us? Absolutely nothing, which is what you are about to become. Yeah. Okay, I will put Empire right here, below Phantom Menace, but sorry, with the nostalgia factor is very high for that one. And I have always thought Episode 4 was still better than the movie.
That's fair.
Gonna go to the bathroom?
Yep.
Alright, Wolf's going to the bathroom break. I'm going next. I'll read some comments. Yeah, one of the few good changes. Empire Strikes Back, very good movie. I will say it is still S-ranked technically. It doesn't make it as high due to personal nostalgia, but I won't deny this was a good movie. It was a changing point for Star Wars, and this was the real movie which put Star Wars on the map. Empire Strikes Back stepped up over the greatness of the first one, and fans to this day love it. The performances are great. The effects still hold up well. I actually think the special edition changes to this movie were the rare good ones. Episode 6 and 4 kind of got some of the infamous special edition changes. But yeah, this one was good. Let's move on to how it would have originally ended until the sequel trilogy, Return of the Jedi. Oh wait, wrong movie. Yeah, that was Spaceballs. Yeah, so next movie Wolf and I are doing is Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, which, let's face it, in all our headcanons is the real ending. Yeah, you agree, right, Wolf? Return of the Jedi. This is the grand finale to the original saga, and I'm saying it's still the real finale to Star Wars as a whole, because the sequels had their chance and they fucked up. Talking about 6.
Let's go, Revenge of the Jedi!
Return of the Jedi, because revenge is not the Jedi way. Oh, does this belong on Master Jedi or what?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I will put this one above Episode 1.
Yeah, I'll put it up against 4 as
yeah,
well.
me too. Return of the Jedi is awesome. Not outdoing Revenge of the Sith, though.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi, the grand finale, the final fight against the Empire, after a side quest where we save Han Solo.
Yeah, where the movie opens up with Leia in the disguise.
Yeah, the first 40 minutes of the Jabba's Palace movie where pretty much Jim Henson shows off his Muppet studio, basically. Yeah, if you don't know Wolf, Jim Henson and his Muppet Studio did a lot of the effects for the original trilogy.
Well, yeah, I'm
and
very aware
some of the
that.
prequels, yeah.
Did he do
Frank
Jabba
Oz and
as
Jim
well?
Henson were in this. Yeah.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
Did he do Jabba?
Yeah, he did Jabba.
Okay.
Their studio did Jabba. We actually showed it. Jim Henson actually revealed on a documentary there were 3 people in the Jabba Muppet.
Yeah,
there was one
given how
person
big
doing
he
his,
is.
one person did his head, one person did his hands, and one was in the back slinging the tail around. Yeah, it was a huge Muppet. A lot of really cool effects in this movie, even without the special edition stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, they have to rescue Han Solo because Jabba has him as a trophy in his palace.
Right.
Han used to work for Jabba until he screwed up a mission, and Jabba put a bounty on his head, which Han apparently didn't pay back after he got the money in Episode 4. So Jabba has Han Solo, and Luke and Leia pull off this very elaborate rescue mission to save him.
Right.
Like, they give away C-3PO and R2, Lando's posing as a guard, and Leia poses as a bounty hunter to try and get him out. She unfreezes him, but then gets ambushed because Jabba's too smart for them.
Right.
Then he captures them again, or this time they're prisoners, and Leia gets the sexy slave outfit. Then Luke finally comes in and tries to use his Jedi ways, but mind tricks apparently don't work on Jabba either. I guess he's only influenced by money.
Well, I mean, it also could be just Luke not that powerful yet.
Oh, wait, wrong movie. Yeah, Luke is definitely stepped up. He is a lot more of a fighter in this movie.
Right.
He's mastered his combat skills, at least, and he's almost in tune with the Force. Not quite yet. That's through his arc with Vader.
He comes in with all black, meaning he could be evil.
Right.
We get to the dark side.
We get 2 creature fights in this. First with the Rancor.
Yep, good
which
fight.
really awesome Muppet work too. That thing looked creepy and scary. They have an awesome fight.
Death.
They give it a brutal death, crushing it under a door.
Yep.
More gruesome than Wesker's death. Then they decide to take him out to the Sarlacc pit to feed them. I love the Sarlacc fight scene.
Again, another creative fight.
Creative fight scene.
I'm
It is
going
so
to
hilarious
keep
watching
talking
bad
about
guys
it.
fall into the hole. And
Yeah.
Luke
Also,
is
you have
fine.
Lando holding on for dear life.
Yeah, Lando finally breaks his cover, fights, and he's holding on, and a blind Han has to save him.
Yeah.
It's like trying to pull him up, and the Sarlacc pit, like one of its tentacles nearly grabs him. Some people don't like the special edition Sarlacc pit because they kind of gave it like a beak mouth underneath the hole.
Yeah.
It's like, I will admit, it was a lot scarier when it was just that spike hole.
Right. I feel like the beaks should be like, because octopi have that kind of thing.
Right. It was kind of like a tentacle monster, basically.
Yeah.
I will say I did like that they gave it more tentacles.
Right.
Because it makes sense to drag in more food. So yeah, the fight over the Sarlacc pit. Leia is in a slave outfit, and she kills the man who objectified her, Jabba. Strangles him to death.
Right.
Yeah, Princess Leia's still badass. She's like in chains and strangles Jabba.
Unfortunately, Boba Fett dies here in kind of a weak way.
Well, he was alive down there, and he crawled back as Boba Fett.
Yeah, twice. In the extended universe, he gets put in there 2 more times and escapes.
A lot of iconic fights in the original trilogy. Yeah, there were. I do think the prequels were better, but that was because they had better choreography by then.
And, of course, more experience.
Yeah, a lot more. Again, these were George Lucas's first movies, so remember that. But yeah, Episode 6 had really cool fight scenes. They killed Jabba and blow up his sail barge, and don't worry, in expanded material, apparently Bib Fortuna took over, even though he was on the barge when it blew up. Yeah.
But oh well, we're now done with this part of the film and get back to the Empire versus the Rebels.
Right, and finally the Emperor steps in. They're building a second Death Star, and this time the Emperor's gonna take care of it.
Yep.
And we get to see the Emperor finally in physical form, played by Ian McDiarmid in his, I think, one of his earlier film roles.
Yeah.
It was hard to tell, but yeah, because he kind of looks the same in all these movies. So
right.
Yeah, luckily for him, the character he's playing is an evil old man, so he looks the same age in all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Emperor finally steps in. He and Vader are finally working hand in hand. The Death Star 2 is almost operational. They are apparently this time building it with precautions. It's protected by a force field with the generator on the forest moon of Endor.
Yeah.
So this time no one can attack it. It's now protected, and there's making sure there's no weaknesses this time.
Yeah.
Once again, Ian McDiarmid owns the role. Yeah, he does. This Emperor is more of a cold, calculating kind of guy. He's over
sinister,
the top.
yeah.
He's sinister. He's more like Skeletor this time, sitting on his evil throne, making evil plans. Sadly, he doesn't fight in this movie because I guess they didn't plan for him to be an ultimate warrior yet.
Yeah, probably.
He's more so an evil sorcerer type. Yeah, basically.
Plus, he also has Vader to be his sword, basically.
Yeah, Vader is basically his goon, so yeah, he does all the hard work for him. My grandma really loved the Red Guards that Emperor had.
I do. I don't know why they have basic ass spears, but I love them too.
Yeah, these elite Egyptian Red Guard looking guys, they're pretty cool. They're like the Emperor's personal bodyguards.
They don't really do anything though.
They just stand around, look cool, and show you there's different ranks in the Empire. So yeah. You know, they wear red uniforms as opposed to the whites.
And have spears instead of lasers.
basically, the rebellion finally meets again. They're united, and they want to blow up the second Death Star. And this time, the Emperor's involved. So now it's full-on war. This is the best chance they have to finally toppling the Empire, because the leader himself is now getting involved in this.
Right.
They want to destroy the Death Star 2 before it's fully completed. And to do so, they have to go to the forest moon of Endor, where they have to blow up the base, which is making the shield around it, basically.
Yep.
Then Lando is gonna lead like an aerial strike to blow up the Death Star again. This time, they actually have to fly into the core reactor itself. They can't just shoot a missile down there.
Yep.
And yeah, Luke is also finally completing his Jedi training. Yoda has sadly died at the rightful age of 900 years old.
Yep.
He should have made 1,000, but yeah, Yoda finally passes on and becomes one with the Force. Luke completes his training, but he's not fully in tune yet, because Luke has doubts about Vader now that Vader is his dad, and he knows this.
Right.
And
he wants to try to save him.
He wants to save him. Ghost Obi-Wan shows up, and we get the god-awful retcon where he explains why he never told him. It's like,
well, it's true from
a certain point of view.
Great song.
God, I thought, there was an easy way to ride around this. Why not say, I lied to protect you?
Well, that's basically what he is saying with the it's true from a certain point of view. He is still saying that, from Obi-Wan's perspective, all of Anakin is dead. It is only Darth Vader. That's why he doesn't look to him as, like, Luke's father. He sees him as Darth Vader more than he does a Skywalker.
Yeah, and Obi-Wan is pretty much saying that he doubts anything can be done
Exactly.
for Anakin by this point, but Luke believes there's good in him, and basically this is Luke's final struggle, deciding if he can redeem the most evil guy in the galaxy, because he's his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he believes there's good in Darth Vader because he was his dad, and he was the heroic Anakin Skywalker at one point. He believes that man is still in there, but Darth Vader is so thoroughly broken and corrupted by this point that even Vader doubts him. So, basically, Luke goes on his own personal quest to finally face down the Emperor, where Luke gets to finally fight the Sith in this movie, basically.
Yep.
Both, this time ready, full-blown a master now. Meanwhile, there's this fight on Endor, and we get an introduction to the Ewoks.
Yes, I like the little teddy bears.
Yeah, they're cute.
Yeah, I don't know how they're able to kill stormtroopers with rocks and spears either.
Right, it's George Lucas said he wanted to go for this nature versus technology kind of thing, because the Empire are elite, like, with advanced technology.
Industrial.
They're industrial, and they're natives with their weapons and old school tactics and
Using
fighting.
logs to crush the AT-ST.
Which are effective.
Yeah.
Many didn't like the Ewoks, but I honestly thought they were pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Little furballs using so many traps and tools against the Empire is just awesome.
Right.
Yeah, they were like these cute teddy bear look savages.
There's also the one scene where the one Ewok finding the dead one.
Yeah, that was sad.
It was the sad, serious moment with them.
Yeah, some of the Ewoks died, too.
It's incredible what this movie got away with.
Right, it got killed, and they worship Princess Leia and C-3PO, basically.
Yeah, they worship, I think it's 3PO first.
They think, because he's made of gold.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's like an Aztec kind of thing. Or not Aztec, like
3PO's god. They treat Princess Leia like royalty. I think because one of the Ewoks crushed on her.
Probably.
Like, it finds her in the woods after the speeder fights.
That's right.
Yeah. How can we forget the speeder fights?
Oh, yes, that was so cool.
Oh, that's so cool. They're, like, riding, like, basically space motorcycles through the woods at high speed, and many of the scout troopers die crashing into trees.
Yeah, well, if you look at the effects they use is effective, because it's just a blur. That's all the forest is. They're going at a high speed.
Right, they're riding at, like, a flash speed. They're in a forest that's very cramped with trees.
Exactly.
Desperately
You're riding
trying
a bicycle through a minefield.
Like, desperately trying not to crash or bump into each other and trying to shoot the enemy at the same time.
Right.
Luke gets some cool lightsaber fights, lots of crashes. Leia gets separated. She joins the Ewoks. Wacky scenarios where they find the Ewoks. They all got caught in a giant net because Chewie wanted to eat the dead animal.
That's right.
Because I guess Chewie's also part savage.
Well, yeah, the Wookiees were kind of.
You think he know it was a trap because Han and Luke even point out.
Maybe he was just hungry, okay?
Chewie always thinking with your stomach.
Yeah, maybe he just has primal instincts.
They get taken by the Ewoks and manage to trick them into believing C-3PO is a god and he helps them out. The Ewoks sort of become their reinforcements in the war. I'm not sure why they didn't dispatch more rebel troops with them.
Well, because they needed more of them for the space battle.
Right.
They need all they can to take down the Death Star, and it was supposed to be a small force for the generator, because they also don't want to give away they're going for the generator.
Right. The generator's a lot smaller, and
it's a small task force deployed. That's why they don't need that much.
It's a shame the rebel troops didn't get a lot of focus because they have the cool camo armor.
Yeah, I really love the armor.
And
Scout Trooper armor's amazing.
Also, it's now canon Captain Rex was there on Endor.
No, I hate that. I hate that so much.
Dave Filoni said it was true.
Yeah, I drew old Rexes, and that makes it canon. No, it doesn't. He's an old guy. It helps show the rebellion is made up of people of different walks of life.
Right. It showed how united they were in standing against this.
Exactly.
Like, even an old guy would do his duties to fight this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they fight. Han Solo's first breach of the base doesn't go well. They get captured, but then the Ewoks come in full forces.
Yeah, with Chewbacca and the AT-ST.
And we get that cool fight of the Ewoks using their old native tech fighting the Empire's advanced tech. The
Ewoks blown up and shot.
Right. AT-STs are destroyed with logs. Chewie and the Ewoks hijack one of them. Then they're using it to help the Ewoks. They blow their way into the base finally. Yeah. They successfully blow up the generator, but we find out Luke actually turned himself in to confront Darth Vader, and he's taken to the Death Star. He has a brief talk with Vader, how he knows who he is. He wants to save him, but Darth Vader says, "It's too late for me, son."
Yeah, the man, Anakin Skywalker's dead. He is Darth Vader.
Go look up how they did the chase scene. It's very amazing.
Yeah, I am very curious.
Oh, and the Leprechaun. Oh, yeah, what's his... Warwick Davis, the Leprechaun, is one of the Ewoks.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And he's also Willow, another Lucasfilm movie. Yeah. So yeah, they used him. Yeah, it makes sense. Of course, Warwick Davis was in this as an Ewok.
I mean, he's also one of the few short people actors, I think.
He's a famous little person, okay? Yeah, of course. So finally, Luke goes to the Death Star, and we finally get the famous confrontation with the Emperor. Yep. Like, Darth Vader is trying to convince Luke to join them. The Emperor wants him to become a second apprentice, but then Luke rejects that, and they have their epic fight scene. We finally see Luke prepared and standing up against Vader, and the Emperor starts pretty much abandoning Darth Vader at this point and wants Luke now to be his apprentice.
Right.
And I do love that cool shot where Luke's hiding in the shadows, and like half of him is like in the dark side, basically.
Yes,
half of him
dark,
in the light.
Half light.
Like Darth Vader's trying to tempt him. Like,
I love that scene as well. Mostly also from Darth Vader's end.
Right.
Of trying to draw the rage out of him.
He's also taunting him because he realizes that Leia is now related. He's their sister.
And so even if he kills Luke, he can just take Leia.
Her, and then he snaps and fucking wrecks Darth Vader. He slices his hand off again. Yeah. Vader gets pwned by Luke.
Yeah.
Your overconfidence is your weakness.
And your faith in your friend is yours.
Faith in your mama.
What was that?
I said, yo mama is so fat, Jabba the Hutt says, damn. That was a classic quote.
Good
Warwick was only 12 to 13 when he did this movie.
Wow, okay.
No, he was a child actor.
Okay, that also kind of makes sense how they could use children for the Ewoks.
Then after Return of the Jedi, we don't talk about those movies.
We'll get to them, unfortunately.
Just let us finish 6 first. Yeah. We're almost done. Like, he pwns Vader, but Emperor tries asking him one more time to join them. Luke rejects him, and I never got why he, like, throws his weapon and decides not to fight or kill the Emperor. Someone's told me that it's supposed to be because he's trying to convince Vader to turn good, and this is his last resort, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
And he, like, pretty much stands up to the Emperor while the Emperor is electrocuting him to death, and he slowly and surely tortures him, taunting him how he can't stop him, and Vader's long gone, and this finally snaps Vader back to the light side.
With Luke's crying out for his father to help him.
And Vader's good finally comes up, and he goes, in the special cut, he goes, no! But everyone hated that, so thankfully even Lucas turned that down in another new cut, so he deleted it, and he chucks the Emperor into a reactor where he dies, but don't worry, he somehow lives, but he's thrown in where he clearly explodes from the nuclear reactor.
Right.
And if that didn't kill him, Lando finally breaches and blows up the Death Star.
Yep.
Darth Vader is damaged from this, though. His systems were electrocuted, and Luke still saves him, and he finally talks to him as his father.
Yeah.
He wants to see him with his own eyes, and we get the big reveal. Darth Vader is actually a sad, beaten down old man.
Yeah.
We see the original guy who played him, the bald guy, basically.
Yeah. I also really love the breathing apparatus he has starting to malfunction.
Right.
It's such good sound effects.
Yeah, you can hear
So
the Vader
sad.
breath as like
Yeah.
going in and out.
It's God.
Yeah. Vader was hooked up to a machine that was keeping him alive
Right.
this whole time. We were led to believe he was supposed to be this big bad monster, but no, he's an old man on life support, basically.
Right, and now he's dying, and he finally gets to see his son with his own eyes.
And he apologizes to Luke and says he was right, and they actually have a sad moment where you feel sorry Darth Vader died.
Yeah.
Like, Vader dies, and he at least died being Anakin Skywalker, throwing off the dark side.
Yeah.
And Luke takes his corpse, and we do see they hijack the Emperor's shuttle to get
Yeah.
off the blowing up Death Star.
Right.
They escape, and they blow up the Death Star too, and the Empire is completely fractured, and Emperor Palpatine should have been incinerated by all of that.
It's
but-
okay, he made it out alive.
Yeah, he was so right. You were right. Tell your sister you were right. Yeah, that's what he said.
I do not remember that line.
Yeah.
I remember the visuals, I don't remember the lines,
He does
unfortunately.
say that, and
Okay.
yeah, sort of makes peace with Luke
Yeah.
and gives his blessing to him
And he
and
gets the
his sister.
Jedi funeral back on
And-
Ewok.
Yeah, Darth Vader gets a Jedi funeral and got to die with honor and a hero.
Yeah.
Somehow Kylo Ren's gonna take his helmet to make it a
Ewok got burned with
shrine,
the
yeah.
research.
I'm pretty
Or at
sure it
least
got
blown
burned.
up.
Yeah, it got
One
burned.
of the two.
And Han and Leia finally hook up. Han was jealous of Luke, but she reveals, oh, he was my brother.
Yeah.
It's like, I love Han was so confused by they were.
Yeah.
I love Leia said, somehow I've always known, which is why you kissed him in that one movie.
Yeah, again, there was,
It was
not
not
really
planned.
a plan.
It was
That
not-
part, at least not. I do also like the original Ewok song,
Yeah.
repetitive as it
Yeah,
is.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I used that song
Alright.
for our fight against the Cat Council.
Nice.
And you showed up at the party, Wolf.
Yep.
Yeah, the original song was better. The new one is okay. I have grown to like it, but it's not as good.
Yeah.
It's not good. And at last, the Empire is finally defeated. Peace among the galaxy. Death Star 2 is gone. The remnants of the Empire out there are implied to go back in hiding and be in villains and expanded material.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Grand Admiral Thrawn is still out there, but yeah, read that book or whatever. Pretty much the main saga's over, and Luke sees the Force ghosts of Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Hayden Christensen, depending on what
Yeah.
you follow.
Yeah, he got added in the re-release. Original is the actual actor.
Right? That was such a middle finger to the actual guy who
Right.
played him.
Yeah. Also, it doesn't make sense that he gets to be the young one
Yeah.
while he died as an old man and Obi-Wan's still old.
Yeah, George Lucas kind of defended this saying, well, actually, that was when Anakin officially died in that form back in Revenge of the Sith,
Yeah, but
and he
then he
became Darth Vader, but they're the same damn guy, man.
Right, it's the same body.
Yeah, Hayden Christensen in the special edition is the Force Ghost,
Yeah.
and
He's kind of
it-
awkwardly there.
it's so
Even while
hilarious
he
too.
looks
It's like,
around.
it's like very clearly because he's not actually there when they filmed. They green screened him in, and they have his inserted in there.
Right.
And it is so funny seeing Hayden Christensen in there.
Right. You have these two old beings and then young Hayden
Yeah, young
Christensen.
Anakin is there in his Revenge of the Sith suit, and yeah, basically they did it. They achieved peace and lived happily ever after.
Yep.
And then episode 7 happened.
Yep.
All right, I gotta use the restroom now,
Alright,
so
so
Wolf, get
I've-
us pumped up.
Yeah, I'm gonna lay a little bit of the scene here, I think. So, God, when did it come out? I gotta look that up really quickly. I would assume so. That feels so long ago. Force Awakens. 2015. Okay, so yeah, it had been a while since episode 3 was the last one, and people still fondly looked at it. You know, we had the cartoons that came out, we had Clone Wars, I think we had a couple other side things, we had a lot of video games, Lego games, it was still in the market, however, it had not had a mainstream movie in a long time. So come 2014, 2015, when the first trailer came, yeah, even I was hyped for it. Same with I feel like everyone was. Sure, there was the maybe fear and specter of it being like another cash grab, but the first trailer I think really did hype everyone up. It's reigniting life into this old franchise that we all grew up with, that we want to share with our kids and our friends and the new generation, and yeah. And unfortunately, as time has gone on, it has not sort of aged well in popular consensus. I think people have started to realize how much it copies from episodes 4 and 5.
I'm back. Cat's back. And don't worry, Wolf, good news. These are pretty much just exact copies of the original trilogy.
Yeah, exactly. At first, I was even blindsided by it. I thought it was really nice. Because it's also just... We had not had Star Wars in a long time. Definitely needed it.
So this movie was very hyped up, very overhyped, if you ask me. People say it was the greatest Star Wars movie since the originals, and people said it atoned for prequels. But I did hear people absolutely loved it. They said it was the best, and first time I watched it, I thought it was okay.
Yeah, it was a good introduction back into Star Wars.
Yeah, it was great. I was a fool and had hope for this new era, but it started out with such promise. Unfortunately, what it leads up to and is attached to kind of dragged it down now.
Yeah.
And I thought it was okay. We meet Finn and Rey are the new characters.
Yeah.
Willis, member berries of the old.
Right. We have Rey on a Tatooine-adjacent planet and a Tatooine-adjacent lifestyle where she has to get scrap.
Yeah. What's Planet Jakku, Wolf? You don't remember it? It's like, that's not a nowhere planet, and it's Planet Jakku. And Luke says, oh yeah, that is kind of nowhere. Because we're funny Star Wars now. It's like, okay, Star Wars has had jokes, but the sequel era overdoses on them.
It got Marvelized.
Yeah, it's Marvel humor. We're injecting humor and jokes because... Basically, that's supposed to make them not cliched because we're making fun of these cliches.
It's lampshading, yeah.
Right. It is bad. Okay, I actually liked Finn. I liked his story.
Yeah, I was really hyped for Finn as well.
I was actually hopeful that he would be a cool character.
Right, because we have him as a former stormtrooper, seeing the horrors of what they actually do in the opening when they're trying to kill the new rebellion.
Right. Finn is actually a stormtrooper who... basically gets traumatized by what their First Order is doing, and he loses one of his best friends. He realizes that they're indeed the bad guys, and he starts to basically rebel against this.
Yep.
He realizes that what they're doing is wrong and not different from the former Empire. In this version, the evil stormtroopers are apparently not clones in this version. They are kids they abducted and brainwashed into becoming troops, which... would have been a good story, but it's never explored because it's not as important as Rey.
Yeah. We have now, instead of the Empire, the First Order, which is just the Nazis.
Right, and they do explain they're remnants of the old Empire that slowly reforged and built into this new one. They are now being led by Snoke, who is a knockoff Emperor, and his apprentice, Kylo Ren and General Hux.
I really like Hux still.
I actually like General Hux. Yes. Out of all the villains, he was the one I liked the most.
I had so much hope for him.
Like, the guy was pretty much like a space Hitler.
He was basically the new Tarkin.
Right. He was a new Tarkin, and Kylo Ren's a new Vader. They're pretty much replacements of all of them. Right. Captain Phasma was supposed to be an evil Rex, but... she failed. I hated her.
She was another character I had high hopes for. I really wish they had more.
She's got the cool platinum armor, and she's an elite troop, but guess what? They just made her a coward.
Yeah, she doesn't do anything.
She doesn't do anything. She looks cool, and she's basically strikes fear in all the troopers, and she goes down really easily in the sagas. Like, she's ambushed by Chewie in this version, and they use her to, like, breach into the new Death Star. It's called the Star Killer base.
Because Force Awakens.
Yeah, because Force Awakens is popular. It's basically a planet that was turned into a Death Star. Like, it's an actual living planet where they built a base into it all the way through the planet and have their own planet-destroying laser, but this laser can turn into multiple lasers to shoot multiple planets, and
That's so dumb, the chain reaction one.
Right, and they blow up Coruscant in this movie, if you don't remember.
I didn't realize that one got destroyed.
Yeah, Coruscant is one of the few where we see the civilians reacting in fear before they're blown up. Kylo Ren is the villain. I do not get what people see Kylo Ren at all.
He's hot.
Like, yeah, because Adam Driver's hot and fangirls simp for him.
We get more of that in the next film, but we're on this one for
It's
now.
like, okay, who is he really? He's a whiny, angry
He's
baby.
an edgy teen, really.
He gets pissed off a lot. Like even our mom didn't think he was handsome. Like when he takes off the helmet, I remember mom saying, "Put it back. You look better with it on." Yeah, Adam Driver. I don't get what women see in him.
I don't know either.
Especially if you watch Hux's speech in German. Force Awakens was fine. Unfortunately, it didn't have a good conclusion, and knowing how the trilogy ends, it kind of ruined this movie. You actually did like Poe. He wasn't important in this one, but
it was kind of important. The first film, it seemed like it was going to start having him and Finn interact a lot more and become a weird duo.
Right, and Rey's there, but she's gonna be like kind of sharing the spotlight with Finn at first. They actually had equal screen time in this movie.
Right.
Like, Finn and Rey and Poe are pretty much nobodies. They're the new generation, the Resistance, who are trying to stand up to this. At this point, we got another century-long time skip where apparently the old Empire and Jedi are now myths. Yeah. I don't know how, but yeah, apparently they got forgotten.
Right.
And they basically meet the former generation. We meet the original trilogy characters again, Han Solo and Chewie and General Leia. Because Princess is sexist. I don't know why they couldn't call her Queen, but...
It also makes sense that she's not Princess anymore, because, Alderaan's destroyed.
Right.
I think that's really it. She does not have a home to be a princess to.
Right.
She's no longer royalty.
C-3PO and Chewie, and R2's gone offline because he's, like, in a coma from Luke leaving.
Yeah, but don't worry, we have BB-8.
Luke has vanished, so we could set him up for a disappointing sequel later. Yeah. But yeah, apparently Luke's gone missing, and... basically, the plot is there's a map to find him, and they're gathering all the pieces of this map to locate him. And Finn and Poe have, like, the final fragment of the map, and the First Order are trying to use that to kill Luke and kill the Last Jedi.
Yep.
And basically, wacky adventures, we copy a lot of A New Hope. The kids meet a wise old mentor. They're reluctant to jump to the call to action. They find out all this great stuff happened before our time.
Yeah.
And basically,
they go to that one planet and somehow the woman there has Luke's lightsaber.
Yeah, that's where Starkiller came from. Yeah, it's pretty much member berries for Force Unleashed fans. The new Death Star is called the Starkiller because that was the name of that character everyone loved.
Right.
I actually do think Jar Jar is the true Sith Lord.
I do love that theory as well.
I do. That Robot Chicken did that greatly.
Yeah.
So many good characters here. Hux, Snoke, Phasma, Finn, and I didn't even mind Rey in The Force Awakens.
Yeah, she was fine in Force Awakens.
She was fine here because she wasn't a Mary Sue yet.
Yeah, she was clearly she was the one that she knows like all the myths and legends of it, and she wants to kind of see all of that for herself.
This was always my problem with Rey before Episode 8 happened. She's just girl Luke.
Yeah.
Like, she's literally just girl Luke.
This is just 4 and 5.
Yeah, it's 4 and 5 together.
Straight up.
Yeah, Rey and Finn work together, and they actually did have equality in this movie because they're both being heroes. They're both going on their own.
Right.
I do think, like, basically, Kathleen Kennedy made Rey, and she was very much obsessed with her because it's pretty much her surrogate character. It's her self-insert. Yeah. She's this character that came from nothing and works with great men and became the greatest hero saving the galaxy.
Just like Luke, but also like every other hero. She's just an archetypal hero character.
Right. It's like, it was fine in this movie.
Yeah, it's all completely fine for this as the groundwork. It's just following what other stories have done and the framework for them. It's all completely fine and serviceable. And how they do it in later films was what I was hoping for.
Rey probably used cheat codes to use the Force. Yeah, Rey kind of chances upon the Force in this version.
Yeah, I don't know how. With no training, she's able to resist Kylo's mind tricks.
And she mind controls a stormtrooper into unlocking her cell, despite never seeing that at all.
Even though also her first attempt is kind of funny with him just like not doing it.
Right. It doesn't work at first, but then she tries again.
Joke. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, of course, she and Kylo have the lightsaber duel. Like, first he fights Finn, but Finn gets his ass kicked because he's not a strong, independent woman. Then Rey fights, and she was the true Jedi all along, and apparently she can best this guy who trained years with an Emperor clone.
I mean, well, she only had like a bow staff.
Right? She had a bow staff, and she knows how to use a sword.
It's pretty much the same weapon, if you ask me.
Yeah, they fight. A lot of fan theories were claiming that they were related or they'd be shipped together.
Right.
And unfortunately, they went with the ship together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also, Han Solo dies,
Han
trying
Solo
to save
dies.
his son like Luke did with Vader,
And-
but it doesn't work this time.
it was so predictable, too.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm gonna talk fear into the main villain of our saga, and yeah, he tries talking his son into coming back, but no, Kylo Ren doesn't want to be redeemed, which actually made him cool at first, but as
Yeah.
you'll see later, they go back and forth on this.
Yep.
Han Solo dies, which I wasn't too hurt over, since Harrison Ford openly said he wanted to die in this saga.
Yeah.
But yeah, still pretty. I wish he went out in a better way, but yeah, Han Solo gets stabbed and he's thrown off into the bottomless pit.
Yep.
And Kylo's evil. Chewie apparently snipes a shot on him, and that's supposed to explain how he can't keep up with Rey.
Well, yeah, because he's injured now.
So was Rey. She was held prisoner.
She's completely fine.
They have a fight. It's pretty cool out in the snow. A lot of people said it was the coolest fight scene ever. It's like,
It's fine.
It's
It's a
fine.
good setting.
I didn't think it was all that great because it was mostly hard to see and they're doing basic
Yeah.
moves.
Right, you have the glow of the lightsabers as a big thing.
Yeah, they pretty much took away the parkour and flips they did in the prequels, and
Yeah, the setting
that kind of made them boring.
Right, the setting there is decoration rather than an actual battlefield to be used.
Right. Finn is fortunately taken out, and he's put into like life support until episode 8, where he's wearing that stupid bubble machine or whatever.
He has so much on him.
Yeah, he actually did good in this movie because he did get some fights in, and he actually succeeded as a hero in this movie.
Right.
He just gets taken out in the final duel so Rey can finally do something.
Yeah.
Rey holds Kylo back. She doesn't fully beat him, but she's able to stand against him. And
She survives him, basically.
Poe is leading, surprise, a fight on the Death Star planet where they successfully blow it up. However, the planet's like falling apart in this version, Armageddon style, and
Yep.
a crack in the planet separates the two before they can finish things.
And it's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor how it's taking them apart.
Yeah.
And they defeat the Starkiller base and won against the First Order, but they return with losing Han. And Leia gives a hug to Rey and not Chewie.
Right. Chewie's right there. She's known him longer. Come on.
So yeah, Leia is like treating Rey like she's her daughter in this
Right.
movie. And it's so weird because you've known each other for like 3 days.
Right. And like the thing is also apparently in the cold reads, that's how it was done. It was supposed to be like a mother-daughter thing.
Right, it's like Rey is supposed to basically become found family to the original trilogy
Yeah.
characters. Han is like a dad to her at first, and it hurts when he dies, and Leia becomes like her mother figure
For this movie.
And then technically episode 9, but we'll
Yeah.
get to that. Yeah, basically. And then they finally get the fragments like cracked and make the map out, and they locate Luke where Rey returns to Luke on Ocean Planet.
And tries to hand the lightsaber, and then we
We-
get the spitting shot out.
Yeah, and that's where it
We want to leave
ends.
my cliffhanger.
Honestly, I might put this movie on Clumsy Jar Jar.
Really?
Yeah, it's like much to learn.
I think much to learn. It's one of the films I can still probably in good faith rewatch.
I can tolerate watching this one a lot more.
There are points I will like about it. It's not all terrible. The problem is its reputation is mired with the other 2 films.
Yeah,
But
it's
taking
connected
it
to
out-
the god-awful
But taking
shit.
it out of that trilogy and looking at it on its own, I think that it's not that bad. It also did help reignite the fan base.
Right. I will say, I found it okay. I didn't hate the
Exactly.
sequels until 8 and 9 came along.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was an okay restart into the saga and had so much potential. But unfortunately, we see what happens next.
Much to learn is fair.
Well, Wolf, we're on the greatest movie since Empire Strikes Back, Ruin Johnson's The Last Jedi.
Yep, because we had to take this away from J.J. Abrams, who had a plan and who gave the plan, and they did not use it.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson said, screw that, I want to make my own.
I want to subvert expectations.
And by subvert, we mean play to every predictable cliche we've seen on Star Wars before already.
It's so awful.
This is it's a crap.
Yes.
Our first god-awful entry. I was so let down when I saw this in theaters.
This is a betrayal to the fans, practically.
This
This is the schism point of Star Wars.
Right? I will say, this is the last Star Wars project I ever saw in theaters.
Yeah.
And I have not gone back to Disney Star Wars ever since until making this list.
Yeah, it's the last Star Wars film I've watched in its entirety.
And here's one of the problems. It is a direct sequel to Episode 7, like happening right after.
It
And
is minutes after.
minutes after Force Awakens, and basically they act like a ton of crap has already happened. It's like, apparently the First Order is winning the war. It is not this small sector with too much power like in The Force Awakens. And the Resistance is apparently struggling to beat them now, even though they had this great fight in this last movie.
Right, they had a victory, but no, now they're on the ropes, escaping from them, having to use the hyperspace jumping thing.
Right, basically, the First Order fights the greatest Resistance fleet in an epic space battle. They somehow have bombs that can fall off plane style in space.
Yeah, the opening fight scene with that is good.
Well, except for Poe giving Hux a yo mama joke. Remember, he calls him and says, "Hey, can I speak to General Hux? His mother called." It's like,
yeah.
Boy.
But the fight in itself is still, like, I also do like the sister dying, trying to
Rose
lower the
Tico's
bombs.
sister dies, sacrificing herself.
Again, it goes to show, even though it really shouldn't be in this situation, it goes to show how dire it is. Also, this scene actually did help me like Poe a lot, because he's taking command and he really is being effective with his fighting here.
He should have learned from George R.R. Martin. God. No, then Ruin Johnson would never finish his story.
Yeah.
For starters, how did the First Order take over nearly the entire galaxy at the start? Yeah, the First Order just becomes the Empire.
Exactly.
They apparently ruled this whole time. They weren't just a political faction that was striking first with the Starkiller base.
Right.
No, apparently they're the full-blown Nazi order and they're winning now.
Should have had it. Yes, definitely.
Time jump. Yeah, definitely. This should have taken place at least like a year or so before.
I'd say more. I'd say like 2.
Yeah. And apparently, Rey finally meets Luke, and what does Luke do with the lightsaber?
Whoop! Throws it over into the water.
Yep, he throws it away, and we get bitter, cynical Luke Skywalker who's given up all hope, and he's here on this planet
Jake Skywalker.
Jake Skywalker. He's drinking blue milk, hanging out with these lizard nuns, basically retired on a beach, angsting.
And wants nothing to do with the Jedi.
Which makes no sense, because why did you leave a map telling people where you were?
Yep. His X-Wing is also in the water, just like on Dagobah, but he's not getting it out.
Right, Luke's given up. He's become old Bruce Wayne, except worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Luke Skywalker, the failure hero, and absolutely nobody, including Mark Hamill, liked this direction with the character.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Bitter old man cliche, yep.
Okay, so I wasn't against the idea of Luke being cynical and jaded and stranding himself.
It could work.
What my problem is, you know exactly where this story is going. It's like, he's bitter and depressed, and this snappy young kid who's like himself is going to snap him back and help him get his balls back and change into action again.
Yep.
And I hate it because Rian Johnson had the balls to say this subverted expectations. It's like, bull crap.
I mean, there's a lot of other things that happen in this film that I would say also are the subversion.
Yeah, and
there's a lot in here.
There's a lot. There's like, it feels so random and convoluted at times.
Yes, it's awful.
And one of my least favorite plots in this movie is basically the C plot, where the Resistance is running away from the new Super Star Destroyer, and it's this awkward chasing of them just flying and being followed by
also the lasers being just barely out of range. The thing is, I actually like that at first, but it does drag on.
It's like the entire movie until the end.
I know. It's awful how long it goes on for that.
Like, Kylo Ren is finally having the Resistance on the ropes, and they take out Prince General Leia's control room, and we get the infamous scene of all.
She, in space, uses the Force to get herself back to the ship. Also, Admiral Akbar dies in the worst way possible.
Yeah, he's killed on the sidelines, being sucked into space. And
right, they treat him like he's a nothing character.
But Leia uses the Force to Superman fly and saves herself, and she just opens the door back into the spaceship and walks right in.
Yep, and then collapses, and then she's out of the movie for a good bit.
It's like, okay, if you want to tell me the Force kept her alive, I'd believe it, but her being in the cold vacuum of space, breathing and flying with the Force, and then just opening the door to walk back in from space... Stupid. It is stupid. How can people say this is one of the best movies when that scene is in this? And General Leia's pretty much in a coma, and her replacement, Admiral Holdo, steps up to take charge.
And she's awful right off the bat. I'm sorry.
She is a Karen.
Again, it's another plot point where if I look back from very far, I can like what they might have been trying to do, but it is awful. It just is. Poe is right in every regard with all of his actions, and he honestly is my favorite character because of how he goes about everything in this film.
Yeah, ironically, Poe is supposed to be the one in the wrong, but he ended up being Wolf's favorite character.
Exactly. Everything he does is what a hero would do. It shows why he should actually have been an effective leader.
Okay, so Linkara tried to explain this, but I don't think it justifies it. Basically, Poe's supposed to be this arrogant hotshot who's being rude to her and basically questioning her order when he should be obeying her. And, like, Poe has a point. She doesn't tell them she has a fucking plan.
Right, and there's also the nonsense part, like, oh, maybe there's a spy among them. Like, they don't do anything with that.
Like, she's not even looking into people.
Yeah, there's no reason for her to be withholding this information or this plan. If she had no plan, then that would be the reason why she doesn't tell anyone, to keep morale up and not say, oh yeah, we don't have a plan, we're going by the seat of our pants, basically. That's the only way that's saved, but that's not how it's done.
This is also a nitpick, but I hate that Holdo's an alien, but she has just as pink hair.
Yeah, the aliens
fucking lazy.
The aliens in Disney Star Wars are awful. The only one was Maz Kanata. It's like the only real alien. Right. And then there's some in the casino planet.
Right, but they're all like Muppets. And like, compare this to the prequel saga where there were so many alien characters and so many cool characters. Even Ahsoka's an alien, and there's just nothing but a bunch of humans all over the sequels. Mark Hamill said that even he hated the direction. Yeah, I saw that. ER posted video clips of Hamill saying he disagreed with the direction.
Yeah, with him, you go, that's not what Luke does.
The movie's worse than The Room. Johnson, you're breaking my heart. Yeah, because it was expensive than The Room. And cue the Superman theme for that Leia scene. And yeah, Holdo sucks. Yeah, Holdo is one of the worst, but there is another. Rose Tico.
Yep.
Who never sold a single action figure. Rose Tico is introduced.
Takes him hostage.
Right. Rose pretty much takes Finn hostage. Like, Finn snaps out of his coma and he's looking for Rey. And he finds out they're in trouble and they have to do something about this. And he and Rose go on this side quest, essentially, to find a quote-unquote hacker who can help them get onto the Supreme Leader Snoke's ship.
Yeah, in order to help get them out of the situation, to disable the hyperspace tracker thing.
And we meet Rose Tico, who's supposed to be another strong, cool girl character. Nothing against the actress. I know there's claims that someone harassed her, like white supremacists or something. It's like they ran that story so many times.
I feel like it's such a minor thing. It's mostly jaded fans.
It's like, okay, she is not a good character. She's supposed to be like this
poor
person.
Was a better character.
Yeah, her sister was cooler. She was basically, she and her sister were basically poor orphans destroyed by the war, and they were oppressed by the resistance. They implied to live on this casino planet as like slaves at one point.
Okay.
And she like hates this town because they're elitists and they're no better than the Empire, profiting off of the less fortunate.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to give Rose a deep backstory, and she and Finn slowly hit it off romantically, but spoiler, she's not in the next movie. Because Finn gets a new love interest in all these movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, Force Awakens, Finn is with Rey. They implied they were going to be a couple, but no, she has it hot for the bad boy.
Yeah.
Then this movie has Rose, but nobody liked Rose, and J.J. Abrams fired her.
So they went back to Rey, but also another character.
Yeah, there's like a black stormtrooper girl who comes in.
And it went back to Last Jedi with Canto Bight.
Yeah, they go on this casino planet, get into basically wacky hijinks for most of it. It's like more lighthearted. Then they meet, I swear, this weird stuttering lunatic in prison. We meet DJ. Yes, DJ was his name in Star Wars.
Yep.
DJ is apparently the pro smuggler who was arrested on this planet and
Well,
helps...
no, he's not so earlier in the film, they talked with Maz Kanata, who said, "Oh yeah, I know this guy. He has like the red rose on his lapel thing, and that's who they're trying to go for originally." But they get arrested and thrown in here, and he's basically a secondary option.
Yeah, he
can
also
do
knows
this.
how to hack.
Exactly. He's this is their victory. They have to take him.
Right, he proves it by breaking them out of prison, basically.
Right, he has to use the necklace, though, unfortunately.
Oh, and BB-8 gets the coin slot gun. Remember, it was like someone mistook him for a slot
that was
machine.
Mark Hamill, actually.
Yeah, Mark Hamill voiced the alien or something.
That was putting coins in him, yeah, because he's just so drunk.
Then he shoots coins at one of the prison guards at the casino, and yeah, it was stupid.
It's wacky hijinks.
It's more
kids.
Marvel humor. And it only gets worse when the porgs show up.
Yeah, I definitely didn't care about the side plot. The porg, God, they pushed that so hard,
like
and then it just did nothing after.
They were funny at first, but then they showed up in the space battle on the Falcon, and they're like Chewie's like pets.
They were never good.
I hated them. They kept hogging the screen, and
they
look creepy as hell too. Those freaking eyes.
Yeah.
The porgs were annoying. I don't get what people saw in them. Even the film exorcist told me he loved them. It's like
oh my
it's
gosh.
like, oh my god. It's like, what are you, like 4?
Well, look, okay, I don't have any. I can't say that because I liked Jar Jar and I still do. And he was definitely a for the kids inclusion.
Yeah, but Jar Jar was a person. He wasn't an animal or a pet.
Character. He was also kind of funny at times. Yeah.
They hugged
the porgs were just awful. They tried to push them in marketing too.
They
had
were stuffed animals of them everywhere.
I know, God. They really tried so much with marketing this film, and it just all collapsed.
While this is happening, we get the serious plot with Rey trying to snap Luke, and Luke reluctantly lets her join him.
Okay,
and
I do like him lying to her about the Force.
Put your hand out and feel the Force.
Yeah, and he just smacks her.
That's the Force.
That's one of the only funny scenes.
That was actually good, yeah.
Yeah.
But then we get setting up for Rey's deep character, where she goes into like the dark tunnel too, and sees like clones of herself in the mirror.
Yeah, it's a bunch of mirror stuff.
And like apparently like she has fears about who she is in all this.
There's
and
the scene of her parents leaving her.
Her parents dumped her. We're basically tricked into believing Rey's gonna be this important character, and that her parents might be somebody who matters, like a major character in Star Wars. Like, oh, she's Luke's daughter, she's Obi-Wan's daughter, she's Palpatine's granddaughter or something. There was a lot of theories, and basically Ruin Johnson wanted more subversion, and it's building up to basically nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rey's having her struggles. We finally get the backstory. What happened? Why is Luke here?
Yeah, he tried to set up the monastery and the new
Jedi Order, basically. Kylo was one of his great pupils, basically.
Yeah, he was also his nephew.
Right, he's Han and Leia's son, basically, and Uncle Luke, I guess, took him in to train him in the ways of the Force.
Well, because that's the extended universe stuff coming back in.
Apparently, at some point, Luke had a bad dream vision like Anakin did, where Kylo would turn to the dark side and destroy everything he built.
He sensed the darkness in him, so he tries to murder him.
It's like, okay, how are you going to explain that to your sister and brother-in-law that I killed your nephew?
I sensed the evil in him. I had to do it. Again, another thing Luke wouldn't do. This is the man that pulled Anakin back out of Darth Vader when everyone assumed that was not possible.
But one bad dream of his nephew turning good, gotta shank him in his sleep.
Yeah. And so, of course, Kylo wakes up seeing his uncle try to kill him.
Then he fights him, and apparently he destroyed the Jedi Temple and recruited some guys who would become the Knights of Ren.
Which goes nowhere.
Goes absolutely nowhere. It just, he and the Knights of Ren basically destroy the Jedi Temple and go on their own, where they're recruited by Snoke.
Yep, and because of this, Luke sees that he's just given up.
Yeah, Luke failed, and he goes to bum and cry, basically, on a beach.
Yeah.
And this is why he's out here, because he wants to die and believes he's a failure, because Luke sucks.
Yeah.
Luke sucks. He's not Yoda and he's not Rey. And yeah, it's basically the let's shit on Luke movie, which is why this was pretty awful.
Yeah, there's a lot awful, even without that, but it's
this is definitely the big one.
This is the biggest stab in the back, yes.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker is not a hero. He's a failure. He's a fake. He tried to do his best to save the Jedi, but he only doomed it more, and
so now Rey has to pick up the task.
Rey is picking up his mess and doing it better, and Luke is slowly coming around thanks to Rey and her shining example, and Rey actually fights Luke in anger and bests him easily, despite her being a complete newbie Jedi and Luke being a master warrior.
Well, he's given up. He hasn't done training anymore. He doesn't have the Force.
Like, he's given up, and Rey essentially teaches herself, and she reads, like, the Jedi texts.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, she's more
the
out here.
sacred Jedi texts that are also nothing.
Yeah, we never even find out what they are. They're
Right.
apparently books that were saved from Yoda's temple, which would have been cool, but never brought up. Rey's teaching herself. She's, like, fighting a rock, wielding a lightsaber herself. And Luke sort of trains her, but then sort of angst and complains too.
Yeah.
And it's basically this for pretty much half the damn movie.
Yeah. It's nice when he sees Chewie, though.
Right, he sees Chewie and he finds out what happened to Han, and that sort of convinces him to come around because his best friend died.
Yeah, also, after she leaves, he has a little talk with Yoda, too, who then destroys the tree with all the sacred Jedi texts that made nothing.
That's right, Yoda came back and they used the puppet because that's what fans would have loved.
That's just cheap.
It's cheap. It's cheap manipulation. I'm glad Frank Oz came back as Yoda, and it's good to see him, but I just hate it because he's telling Luke that he needs to stop crying.
Yeah.
Yoda has to tell Luke to stop being a baby and crying and giving up.
Yeah.
And this finally snaps Luke back into action after 40 years on this planet angsting.
Yeah. Also, as a ghost, he can summon lightning.
It's
so
like,
I guess that adds up to Obi-Wan's line from episode fucking 4 of I'll become more powerful than you can imagine after I die.
yeah, Luke and Rey finally go back to go help them fight them. Meanwhile, Finn and Rose's plot goes nowhere. They have the hacker help them. They get captured.
He turns them in. He betrays them to get the money.
What a shock. The guy they met in prison was untrustworthy. Yeah, he betrays them. They didn't make it seem like he was going to come back in another movie. It never happens. Episode 9 forgets him because J.J. Abrams threw away Ryan Johnson's plans.
Yeah, as I would too after seeing him destroy my work.
Yeah, so basically he gets paid and gets away scot-free.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, BB-8 manages to save the day because BB-8 brings like an AT-ST online and shoots up the First Order troops, and Finn finally has his fight with Captain Phasma because I guess they were arch enemies?
Yeah, they were supposed to.
They were like setting them up. It's like, I think this would have been satisfying if they fought in the final movie and like this movie set up like a rivalry between them because Captain Phasma was his boss in the First Order.
Yeah. However, we are forgetting one crucial scene. The Holdo maneuver.
That's right.
Yep, all the other ships are finally leaving because they're finally reaching the planet to rendezvous at. But in order to sort of try and stop the First Order from following them, Holdo orders everyone to leave, and she's going to go down to the ship by going at light speed to just drive through them.
Okay, so this another Holdo complaint I have. This was her secret plan the whole time she kept from everyone. Basically, they were flying until they reached a resistance base where they would launch in escape pods and escape while their ship would distract the First Order. Right. Except, how would you know if they wouldn't see the escape pods leaving the ship?
Right.
Going onto this planet? And like, yeah, basically, Poe apologizes because Holdo was right, and Holdo gets her redemption moment of crashing the ship in. And it's like, oh, I don't care about her. And
I know.
They hold so long on this, too, of her moving the ship in a U-turn around. It's like, okay, we know what she's gonna do.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a heroic sacrifice kind of thing, but when I hate her, I don't care.
Yeah, so, I didn't like her anyway. It's
it does look cool as well.
Our mom liked her because she's Laura Dern, but yeah. Basically, it is a cool effect. She crashes into the Super Star Destroyer, ripping it in half.
Yeah.
And it causes like a whole final, like the ship is breaking apart and is in shambles. Finn kills Captain Phasma anticlimactically, I might add. They have like a sort of fight with the Magna Guard staffs.
Right.
And he just bashes off her helmet. We never see her unmask. It's just like her eye. And says, "You were always scum. Rebel scum." And she falls to her death in a fiery pit.
Yeah, classic Disney death.
It's like, she got, like, more of an epic send-off than Snoke does in this movie.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because also Snoke's on the ship, so we
Yeah.
have to go back to talk to that, too.
We had to go back. Right,
Yeah.
Rey and Luke infiltrate the ship, but Rey
I
gets
think it's
captured.
just Rey.
Was it just Rey?
Yeah, well, because Luke has to apparate later.
Right.
it's
Rey
just-
returns
it's
to
just
there,
her.
and she gets captured, and she's taken before Snoke. Like, Kylo tries to convince her to join him because we knew each other for a week, so let's
Right.
rule the galaxy.
Well, they
together.
also earlier in the film they had the scene where she sees him without a shirt.
Right. She saw him without
And
a shirt.
also shows the weird
Blushing like a girl.
and also the weird introduction of the force power of being able to take something from a fucking far away.
We find out this was Snoke manipulating them.
Yeah.
He gave them the connection somehow. And
Yep.
Snoke is so wise, but he didn't see his death coming.
Well, he was closing his eyes and saw that. Yeah.
Oh no, Holdo dies anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our
Snoke
reaction
in his
too.
gold robe for whatever reason.
He looks like Quagmire in
It's
this.
so weird why he has a gold robe now instead of being a sinister giant.
And he has his own Emperor throne room with a telescope to look outside when, the window can do that, but yeah.
Right, and then Kylo kills him. The two of them have to fight the upgraded Magnet.
Which I didn't think was cool.
Yes,
the
I
fight
love
with
the red
Emperor
guard.
guards. This was the only cool scene in all sequel trilogies.
Yes, even though there's also the infamous Rey shields that come up where one of the guys has like a dagger and is about to stab Rey, and because that's gonna happen and kill Rey,
Rey
they
shield.
just delete it.
Right? Ray shields.
Yep.
I do love one guy got like thrown down a generator and you see like his blood spurt up.
Jeez.
That was pretty cool. And they have the weird bending staffs.
They have a
kind
lot of cool weapons, yeah.
They were pretty cool. I'm glad the red guys actually got to do something in
Yeah,
these
this
movies.
was definitely the best fight scene.
They kill Snoke and he gets sliced in half. And
Yeah.
somehow he didn't see that coming, even though the lightsaber was right on his chair
I know,
moving. But
didn't
yeah.
hear it.
Snoke dies, and we pretty much wasted his character. It's retcon that he was apparently a Palpatine clone, and
Yeah.
Palpatine was puppeting him the whole time. Somehow, but yeah, Snoke dies, and Kylo Ren becomes the real leader of the First Order.
Kill the past, destroy it if you have to.
And they break Luke's lightsaber, trying to force grab it.
Yeah.
And apparently breaking a lightsaber causes a nuclear explosion because it sends them across the
those
room.
crystals are insane.
Right. It's like, did they ever do that before?
Yeah, and then this is where we get the reveal that Rey is nothing.
Rey's a nobody. Her parents were just bums who abandoned their daughter.
Yep, she's nothing, and Kylo's gonna make her something.
God.
But she rejects it.
I hated that people called this a good subversion. It's like, it's the first thing I thought she was.
Yeah, the scene with her being left behind didn't really give us anything.
It's like, yeah, of course, this is a new character. Of course she's nothing. It would have been stupid if she was related to a bigger character.
Right, even if that's what all the theories were going for. That
Yeah,
she was like
Rey's-
Obi-Wan's daughter or something.
Rey's nothing, but this got retconned again next movie where it turns out she's Palpatine's granddaughter.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this movie she's nothing.
Don't worry, we're almost done here.
Rey beats Kylo and runs away, somehow escaping.
And she gets to the ice planet as
And-
well, I think the sulfur
Yeah, they make
mines.
it to the salt planet. It
Yeah.
looks like Hoth, so it is
Right.
just recreating
But when they
Hoth.
hit the snow, it turns red.
Yeah, which was pretty cool if dumb, but
It's
yeah.
fine at first.
Right, but they
afterwards
kept
becomes
doing
weird.
it.
Yeah.
That's the problem. These are cool ideas, but they keep repeating them.
Right, so...
I
yeah.
really wish Hux shot Kylo Ren and then
Oh,
there.
that's right. That Kylo's down on the ground and Hux just finds him.
Hux
really
finds him
should have
and-
just killed him.
Should have shot him in the head.
Yes, that would have been a good subversion.
It's like, yeah, our villain is actually this regular tactician guy.
Right, it's not the Sith. It has nothing to do with the Jedi. It's an officer. And
But-
that would have been cool as a heck.
But no, Kylo wakes up and Hux just becomes a bumbling Starscream. He beats around with the Force. And Kylo declares himself the real supreme leader, and they attack the Resistance planet with the armored AT-ATs.
Yeah.
It's like they
I don't
look
know.
exactly the same. They just have like weird faces on them this time.
And all of them are stuck in the mine, so the First Order also brings a giant laser to try to shoot him out.
And at long last, Luke gets his balls back and shows up, or so we think.
Yeah.
And he's basically helping the
I
Resistance.
like that scene still.
Yeah,
Where
Luke.
he has the Force ghost basically there.
Oh,
Gets shot at.
right, and he just wipes it off.
Right.
They can't kill him. Oh, but how can we forget another good scene where They try to fight them at first, and Finn is going to heroically
Yes,
sacrifice
the
himself.
yeah.
Get an end to his character arc where he stands up against the Empire and destroys their super weapon. But then Rose comes in and rams him.
Because we don't win the war by fighting what we hate, but by protecting what we love. So we have the Asian driver stop the black man.
And she says this as they're blowing up the base in the background.
Oh, it's so awful. It was not. He should have died. He should have died heroically.
Like, Rose should have died too.
I mean, yeah, that too.
Basically, yeah, she stopped Finn from his heroic sacrifice because you should cherish life as your friends are dying. But
yeah, except that also goes against what Holdo did, where she killed herself in a heroic manner.
Right, in this exact same movie.
Exactly.
I do love how ER actually pointed out, how did Finn and Rose get back to the base?
Yeah, well,
it's like, without the AT-AT shooting them.
Right, there's also the thing of how did Rose even catch up to him in the first place when they're all going at, like, max speed.
And these are, like, old defective B-Wings, yeah.
Can't really speed up.
Shaking my head. Yeah, that's pretty much the end of Finn's arc. He learns from the girl boss that he should appreciate life and it's worth living, even though he was fighting for his friends in the first place.
Exactly. And that's the end of Finn's character.
Yeah, pretty much. Then he's on the sides for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
So eventually they try to tunnel out of the mine. I'm shaking my head asking, hey, why doesn't Leia use the Force to move the rocks blocking their path?
Because she hasn't fully trained, okay? It came in like a spur-of-the-moment adrenaline thing.
Basically, Rey shows up, surprisingly happy despite being told she's nothing, and she uses the Force to lift all the rocks and save the Resistance, becoming their true ultimate hero, while Luke is fighting Kylo Ren and buying them time, because like a complete moron, Kylo decides to challenge him on a one-on-one duel.
Because his anger is blinding him.
It's like, you can't send your troops to go find the Resistance, though?
I know, right?
They don't have to stand and watch.
he has to do this 1v1 duel that ends up being nothing because he's not even there.
They have a fight, and to the credit, I do like seeing Mark Hamill as a lightsaber fighter again, but surprise, he was a projection this whole
From
time.
halfway across the galaxy.
Yeah, he was still in his retirement home just broadcasting this.
Yeah.
He finds out he's been played, and the Resistance get away, apparently all on the Falcon, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
don't really have a whole lot of ships
They
left.
get away with Rey, and Kylo looks like an idiot, and we're laughing at how pathetic final boss he'll be.
Yeah.
And Luke dies because it was too much for him.
Yeah, it was his final act.
It's like, okay.
It's trying to do like a sad heroic send-off.
And we get him looking at the twin sons before he fades out. It's like, I was more confused by this death.
That's impressive.
It's like, that was too much for him? It's like, have you seen what Yoda and Obi-Wan are doing?
Force Ghost Yoda shooting lightning still.
Like,
yeah, it's...
Obi-Wan and Yoda were older than him.
Yeah, it really didn't seem like that hard of a thing to do. Especially for a master.
Should have gotten an Obi-Wan style death. But
right.
Yeah, it was too much, and Luke becomes one with the Force and dies.
Yep, he
and
disappears.
The Resistance is flying off all in shambles. Rey is butthurt, but then Leia says another stupid line, "We have everything we need."
Oh,
what are you talking about?
They come out in a worse position than they started.
Like, you're in worse shape than in Empire Strikes Back. You have nothing, girl. And we have everything
Rey
to win. They have Rey. Oh, and Rian Johnson's final middle finger. Luke is not the last Jedi because we see one of the slave boys from earlier
using the Force
to use a broom.
If anything, Last Jedi was all this kid's story because he was also playing with the toys.
Okay, sorry.
Got a charge?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know we've been talking
33. But yeah, this
awful.
movie's awful.
Awful.
Some of the ideas, it's a thing where I like, but then I'm betrayed by them.
Last Jedi, I agree with Wolf. A complete betrayal of the fan base. People who liked Force Awakens are severely disappointed, and it made Rey the worst character because she hogs the spotlight. It made a lot of cool characters wasted or worse. It did not subvert expectations at all.
Yeah,
I would argue that it's been doing that when Lucas was behind the wheel.
Right. Audience reactions after the ending, all rage face, yeah.
Yeah, it's a crap. It's a crap.
Before we go to the next film, I have it is on here. I have one thing to bring up, and that is, again, the marketing for this film. Because the Emperor's reveal comeback was actually shown in Fortnite. And if you don't play Fortnite and did not do it for this event, you would not know how he came back, because the film just opens up with the Emperor has somehow returned.
The greatest line in cinema that destroyed this franchise. Somehow the Emperor has returned. Yeah, apparently Palpatine came back because JJ wanted to use Snoke as the villain, but Rian Johnson fucked that up.
Right.
So Palpatine's brought back alive somehow from his death in Episode 6, and he takes over as the villain of the First Order, now turning into the Final Order, which is pretty much just the Empire. Yeah, so Palpatine's alive, and now he's like a zombie hooked up to this GLaDOS machine.
Right, he has all the little evil Jawa things that are maybe Sith ghosts.
Unfortunately, since we know the original Emperor actor died, they CGI his face over a sound alike, and it looks awful, man.
Yeah.
They tried to make him both look undead, but also alive. They gave him like these weird yellow googly eyes, and they look so damn ridiculous.
Interesting.
I should show you a picture of that.
Here's a little tip. Maybe don't reveal a big twist in the info dump. Yeah. Yep, the sacrifice and arc with Anakin's redemption was all for nothing. Yep. Darth Vader killing the Emperor means nothing.
Yeah.
Episode 6, that's not a victory at all.
Yeah, oh, here's what he looked like, basically.
It's not that bad.
Not that bad?
No, it just kind of melted. It's kind of reminds me of episode 3.
Yeah, look, the eyes, though. They look so cartoony.
Well, no, they're supposed to be blown up, and then the red is just like all
like
the flesh. What the heck?
Hey, Kylo, pull my finger.
Yeah,
he looks so bizarre, and it looks worse in motion, basically. They gave him a face. He's kind of a zombie now, and they write this off as the dark side works in ways many consider to be unnatural. Call back to Revenge of the Sith, he's immortal, but he was incinerated and blown up twice.
And also in space, okay? If the explosion didn't kill him, the cold vacuum of space probably should have.
I don't think anyone's gonna disagree. It is the bottom. It's a crap. This is the worst movie of Star Wars. And bad finale. Basically, it's a huge fetch quest for 90% of the movie.
Yeah, that doesn't even really work at some points.
Yeah, it doesn't work, and it makes it all entirely fucking pointless.
Right, there's the fake out with Chewbacca's death as well.
God, and
there's
a lot of fake out deaths.
C-3PO also gets his mind blanked, so he forgets all of his friends.
I love where 3PO has like a heartfelt speech about how he's sharing this moment with his friends, and I'm like, did you even talk to any of these people?
Yeah, these are three randoms that have just strung him along.
God, say what you will about the prequels, but the characters actually interacted with each other. They're all on their own quests for most of the movie.
Right. There's also this stupid thing where somehow this like Sith dagger perfectly lines up with a sunken starship that could not exist at the same time, and also the starship's in the water, so it definitely would have eroded and broken apart. But no, it just magically lines up perfectly.
Yeah, Palpatine's been underground, apparently, this whole time, rebuilding, and we find out he was actually the mastermind all along. Snoke was a clone of Palpatine that he released and somehow puppeted, even though he had his own intelligence. And he's been making all these power moves and planning everything since the start, and it's a desperate attempt to bring this crap full circle.
Right. He also somehow has, like, 8 super Star Destroyers, all armed with Death Star level cannons.
Yeah, they can blow up planets, and he can shoot Force lightning into space.
I forgot about that,
too. Like, oh god, and basically Rey's completing her Jedi training all off screen because she's not a Mary Sue.
Yeah, and Kylo Ren's starting to come around.
Yeah, Kylo Ren is going through his redemption arc, even though the last 2 movies he rejected being good.
This was definitely also didn't help all the shipping for them.
Right, pretty much the Reylo subplot took over completely.
Yeah, Finn is reduced to not even a character, really.
He's more or less Rey's pet.
Yeah, the Rey cheerleader.
He's cheering on her, he's not doing anything. He gets another love interest because people don't want to see him single because Rey friend-zoned him.
Yeah.
Poe got a lot more, and apparently they just gave him Han Solo's backstory where he had a troubled past. He apparently dated the Pink Ranger. There's
he
like
was
this.
a fine enough character on his own. So basically, you're telling me they ruined him.
Yeah,
they ruined one of my two favorite characters in this trilogy.
Oh, they also ruined Hux.
I know, and I hate that too because somehow he's the spy that was brought up.
He's the spy because he hates Kylo Ren's leadership, so he's gonna destroy everything he believed in and worked for.
Right, there was no setup for that.
I don't need you to win. I just need Kylo Ren to lose.
God.
It's awful. They anticlimactically kill him off. They replace Hux with essentially another Tarkin character who anticlimactically shoots Hux dead when finding out he's the spy.
Oh, good. And so now my two favorite characters are gone.
Yeah, Hux was pretty much bastardized in this movie, and he was the only villain I liked.
I know, I had such high hopes for him.
But we need to focus on the Reylo ship, because Kylo's romance is coming into play with Rey, and they're loving each other, then fighting each other, then loving each other, then fighting each other, and that's all movie.
Yep, they have that one fight where I think Rey dies.
Yeah,
for
Rey
a moment.
apparently died, but she came back, and we find out there's a power, force healing.
Yeah.
Which
That
never has been used before.
That was gonna come up eventually at some point. I'm fairly certain it was in some video game, but again, that's a video game where it's not really canon.
You can use the Force to heal people. It healed, like, Rey finds out she heals like an animal on one of the MacGuffin planets.
I mean, it technically also was a Sith power, if we're really honest.
Right, again,
that's how the immortality was gonna
work.
Wouldn't
this be cool if this, like, how Darth Plagueis had kept his immortality?
Yeah.
Like,
basically, the problem is he can't use it on himself.
But we find out, like, in a confusing moment, there's also a limit to this power, because whoever uses it is sacrificing a part of their life force, basically.
So it's like a Horcrux thing now.
Yeah, like, if you use your power to revive someone, you lose part of your soul, and bringing somebody back from the dead, it will kill you, and it's foreshadowing what will happen in the climax.
But then she just does it to Kylo Ren like it's nothing.
Right.
Oh, that's right. She stabs Kylo and Leia dies.
Right.
She kills Leia. I love that sequence so much.
If you didn't know, Carrie Fisher died while filming this, and they had a lot of scenes they still needed her in, and they had basically a double stand-in for her for the scenes they didn't complete. And they killed off Leia in this movie because Leia's life force is tied to Kylo Ren's.
Yeah.
Like, so, at least this hilarious scene where Rey stabs Kylo dead and it kills Leia too. I guess that rendered her entire sacrifice to keep him alive pointless.
Yeah. Hux, a villainous man who orders so much killing and destruction throughout the galaxy, was secretly a spy? What? That's basically like saying Hitler is a spy in World War II with that logic.
Right.
Stupid. Yeah.
Ruined him. He should have been.
He should have just killed Kylo right then and there when he had the chance. There's no other way he can best a Sith.
Right.
That's what he needed to do it.
I'd rather him take over and fight them in like some kind of mecha tank or something.
I feel like that would be stupid, honestly.
But a lot better than what we got.
Yes.
But no.
But there's definitely a lot more they could have done with him.
They could have done so much more.
They could have done so much with this whole trilogy.
He's written off. It is awful.
It got not even screwed over. It was awful and screwed over at the same time.
Right. Oh, but Lando finally came back, and Chewie got his medal.
I forgot those two sequences.
Because, yeah, I remember that from a 70s movie.
Right? We're going to turn the joke about how he didn't get the medal into, like, a real thing. We're going to fix that. We're going to fix the canon with these films.
There's a lot more Marvel humor, even though this should be its darkest hour, because it's the finale.
It really should be, like, the light at the end of the tunnel. It should be from dark to light.
So many pointless stuff happens in this till we reach the end, where apparently Palpatine's plan is he wants Rey to kill him so his soul can transfer into her.
It's like Orochimaru at this point.
Yeah, basically. So Kylo's struggling, and he eventually comes to his senses after Rey kills him, and he senses his mom dies, and he sees a vision of Harrison Ford's Han Solo, who tells his son that he forgives him for killing him.
Right, but it was a memory of a sequence that never happened.
Apparently they have a talk, and it finally turns Kylo Ren good, which was not earned at all.
No, not at all.
Kylo changes his ways, renounces his Sith feelings, and goes to save Rey because the Knights of Ren apparently captured her and took her to Palpatine.
Yeah, those guys came back.
Yeah, the Knights of Ren are in this movie, and pretty much are just glorified elite goons.
Yeah, and then Kylo kills them.
Yeah, Kylo Ren kills him. He somehow got a ride off the ocean planet.
Yeah.
And he makes it to Palpatine's base completely undetected. he and Rey finally work together and double team and fight the Emperor in a battle that was really not foreshadowed at all. And got one of the worst scenes where Rey temporarily dies, but then she hears all the voices of past Jedi, and we get cameos of all the good characters.
Yeah, we'll get Jennifer Hale to come
Jennifer
back.
Hale was back as Isla Secura, my friend's favorite Luminara cameos. Even Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon Jinn was in there.
Wow.
Like Obi-Wan, like Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, basically all the past Jedi give Rey a pep talk, and even Ahsoka is in there, which made me pissed because it means Ahsoka's dead now.
That makes sense, honestly. Again.
I'd rather they leave it open-ended.
I'd rather just not touch her, honestly.
Yeah, Ahsoka cameos in there too.
Okay, balance the Force, Rey, like I did.
Yeah, even though you failed, your sacrifices are nothing. And this gives Rey her second win where she kills Palpatine.
She had
by,
2 lightsabers.
He shoots Force lightning at her and she deflects it at him, and rather than turning his powers off, he gets incinerated. Which confuses me because didn't you want to die from her?
Yeah, but she had 2 lightsabers. That double killed him.
Yeah.
That's how that works. That's the only way that it makes sense.
Then the Emperor's finally killed for good until next trilogy they bring him back.
Yep.
And then,
so, Palpatine's granddaughter wins.
yeah, Rey won, but it took too much out of her and she's dying. And then we get the moment Kylo Ren sacrifices his life force to revive Rey, and they finally kiss. The Reylo shippers get their victory, and yeah, it is cringe. I never shipped Rey or Kylo Ren.
They did not deserve. They were worse. They were the worst part of the fandom, I would assume, because I know that Adam Driver had said in some interviews that there were people trying to get him to leave his then, I think, wife to be with Daisy Ridley.
Right.
That's how insane some of these people were.
They're creepy.
Yeah.
Someone's putting out we forgot the worst line. I am all the Sith.
That's
and
right.
I am all the Jedi.
Yeah, that is stupid.
That was dumb. That was dumber than anything in the prequels.
It's sad we didn't get any Sith pep talk for Emperor Sidious.
And so they finally win and kill the Empire until KK needs another movie. They win. The galaxy is at peace. The First Order fell, even though it had a grasp on the galaxy.
Yeah, and she retires to Luke's home and
basically takes his stuff. And we get the final scene to piss people off where,
who are you?
Yes, who are you?
I'm Rey.
Rey who?
Rey Skywalker.
I fucking hate Star Wars. Love that reaction.
Critic.
No, that was the meme of all the fans being pissed at the Rey Skywalker ending. Someone filmed a private screening of it, and it went viral. Where all the fans were screaming "boo" when she called herself Skywalker.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Rey adopts herself into the Skywalker family,
which is completely unearned.
Completely unearned, complete spit in the face, and basically Palpatine won because his blood is now the true hero of the galaxy. It's there's a reason why we call her Rey Palpatine.
I'm Rey, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. Awful.
Yeah, awful film. Nothing redeeming.
It is worse than Episode 8 because it honestly threw away all the fans who actually liked that movie too.
Yeah.
They're trying to save face only to dig its grave even deeper.
Yeah, it threw... Episode 8 lost the audience, and then so they tried to get back the audience from 7 by throwing the audience from Episode 8 under the bus, but 7 already left, so they had no one.
Yeah, this is undoubtedly the worst Star Wars movie ever. It's a crap.
Okay.
So now, Wolf, we'll try and cheer things up with the spin-off.
Yeah, so 2 of these I have not seen
One
whatsoever.
You have.
Yep.
We've seen Clone Wars together,
right.
so I'll be talking about this one. Let's get Rogue One, a Star Wars movie.
Which is the prequel to Episode 4, which is how they got the Death Star plans.
Yeah,
that's all I know from it.
This is, I would actually say, the only good Disney Star Wars movie.
Everyone agrees with that.
This one, because it's actually dark, there are a lot less jokes. It is dead serious, and it is straight up brutal war. It is guerrilla warfare, World War II style.
Yeah.
Basically, we're introduced to this ragtag bunch of misfits who have to steal the Death Star plans. We meet the new main girl boss, Jyn. Sorry.
Well, this came before 7, didn't it?
This came after 7, before 8.
Okay.
Yeah, Solo came in between 8 and 9.
Okay.
Yeah, basically they tried launching a bunch of spin-off movies,
Yeah.
but Star Wars was losing its momentum by this point, and they canceled after Solo lost money.
Okay.
So, Rogue One, I actually thought was pretty decent. We meet Jyn, who's the daughter of the architect of the Death Star, Mads Mikkelsen.
Yep.
Like, he basically... Mads Mikkelsen was building the Death Star, but he had a change of heart knowing the Empire was evil, and he intentionally built the design flaw on the Death Star, the exhaust port.
Yep.
He did this. He was taken basically prisoner by the Empire for doing this. And basically, Jyn grew up training herself to go on a rescue mission to save her dad from Imperial prison. She meets these rebels. We meet Andor in this movie, and the best character, K2SO, the snarky android.
Okay.
Like,
I'm thinking Solo's one.
You're right. I really like K2SO. He was hilarious because he's pretty much the snarky, cynical guy of the group. He's like C-3PO, but with a bad attitude.
Rogue One is thankfully a good movie from the Disney Star Wars era, especially with the third act.
Yeah, basically it's another kind of MacGuffin hunt. They're hunting the architect, they're hunting the plans.
Yeah.
They pull a heist onto the Empire base. Basically, the Death Star is still almost incomplete. It's under construction at this point. We see CGI Tarkin because Peter Cushing has been dead for a long time, so they got a guy who sounded like him, but CGI'd his face over him.
Yeah, they did the deep fake.
Yeah, this started the awful trend where we're deep faking actors and bringing characters back from the dead for this movie because, well, canonly, Tarkin was the superior of the Death Star. And I know it makes sense that he's there, but what's worse is Darth Vader's also in this movie with James Earl Jones, so people ask, why didn't you just replace Tarkin with him?
Why didn't you just replace him with one of the guys at the table in 4?
Right. Give
like
one
the
of
guy
them
that Darth Vader chokes.
Right. It's like, no, we get a lot of CGI Tarkin and Darth Vader. They are technically the villains. There is another Imperial officer. I can't remember his name. I think it's like Krennic or something.
Okay.
He's like this... He's Imperial officer in a white uniform, and he's, of course, this pompous, smug snake who wants credit because the Death Star is his baby, his achievement. And he wants, basically, Darth Vader to promote him to Grand Moff of the Death Star.
Nice.
And he's kind of competing with Tarkin, kind of like Starscream and Shockwave style.
Wait, why not just have him be Tarkin?
Yeah, I know, it makes sense, but no, they didn't do that because they wanted to give Jyn her own archenemy.
Okay, I think oh well.
Yeah, this stupid Krennic guy, he's kind of the real main villain because he's the enemy of Jyn's arc. Basically, Jyn is joining the Resistance, and she's trying to learn how to fight for the greater good and letting go of her selfish revenge, basically. She wants to avenge what they did to her family. The Empire destroyed their family farm, took their dad, and forced him to help complete the Death Star. She was adopted by everyone's favorite Twilight Zone host, Forrest Whitaker. He plays Saw Gerrera.
Alright.
Saw Gerrera takes Jyn under his wing and is the guy who basically trains her. He's her wise mentor character, and I will say Forrest Whitaker does a pretty good job. It's like, I never thought he was a bad actor, but
Yeah.
Saw Gerrera is a character people have mixed feelings on because he was from Clone Wars and he's on Rebels. He was played by Whitaker again.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Whitaker got to transfer into live action, basically, and that's why he was such a big deal. Yeah, basically Forrest Whitaker trains her and recruits her into the rebellion, and we get more of a look into the guerrilla warfare side of the rebels. We see the struggles. We see the oppressive heel of the Empire. It is pretty much, they are like really losing this fight, and stopping the Death Star is the blow they need, and reminding you of that.
Yeah, it's the morale boost.
Yeah, we're seeing a perspective of the rebel soldiers, basically, throughout this film. Jyn is befriending Andor and K2SO. They eventually get attacked. We see the Death Star in its prototype stage. It's only capable of blowing up cities. It hasn't blown up planets yet.
Jeez, okay.
Basically, they attack the rebel base, and for no reason at all, Saw Gerrera stays behind and tells them to go on without him. He has to sacrifice himself to buy them time to escape, somehow.
Okay.
And they run away, and Forrest Whitaker gets blown up by the proto-Death Star laser. It only destroys a city, and Krennic's trying to show that this can crush the rebellion, and Tarkin's unimpressed, so that's when they're working on upgrading it to blowing up planets.
Right.
Like, Jyn is now more motivated than ever, and kind of struggling between her revenge against Krennic and fighting for the greater good. Basically, they find out where one of the construction sites the Death Star is parked at, basically. It's on this really nice beach planet, and they have, like, kind of a Normandy-esque fights, like, on the World War II.
Okay.
They basically pull a heist and infiltrate this Empire base. However, the Empire starts catching on, so they need to call the rebels, where we have a space fight, and weirdly, the planet is in this giant space ball, like, shield that you have to pass through, like a bubble or something.
Okay, so it's like a cell membrane thing.
Right, it's like this weird bubble thing, and it closes them off from the resistance. They have to break the bubble open so they can pass the plans on to them. They find the Death Star plans because Jin's father, Mads Mikkelsen, tells her where it is, and he sadly dies during a guerrilla strike.
Okay.
And Jin's doing this to pass on the plans because it can defeat the Empire for good. Jyn has her final face-off against Krennic on, like, this weird kind of construction tower, like a radio tower.
Yeah, that was, like, in the trailer.
Yeah, that was all over it. It's, like, the best scene in the movie, and we see all the quirky characters are dying. Donnie Yen plays, like, this blind Jedi, or, like, it's implied he's a Jedi, but he doesn't have a lightsaber or use the Force.
So he's Force-sensitive,
like,
basically.
Very clearly a Jedi, yeah.
Okay.
He actually, he's blind, but he actually uses the Force to see and manages to deactivate the membrane bubble shield holding over the planet, but unfortunately at the cost of his life. He gets shot by the AT-ATs, blowing them up. The rebels are very much outnumbered and outgunned in this, and that's the reason why a lot of people like it. The squad is actually dying in this movie. Characters are dying left and right. They're not making it out, and even Jyn and Cassian Andor realize they're not gonna make it. So they have to sacrifice themselves, where they pass on the plans to the rebels up in space, like through a beacon or something.
Yeah, it becomes a suicide mission.
Yeah, and basically, Krennic dies, he falls off the radio tower, and then as he's lying there, like, hurt and bleeding out, the Death Star hovers over, and Tarkin decides, oh, we don't need you because you're a failure, so they blow up to kill them and the rebels. Okay. And basically, it's ironic because he's killed by our own weapon, and
his own baby.
We get the last scene of Jyn and Cassian Andor have their kiss on the beach because they fell in love all story, and basically the heroes all die in this.
Yeah.
The plans are successfully transferred to a rebel ship, but then they're ambushed by Darth Vader.
Yeah, we get the opening of episode 4.
Yeah, we get the cool scene, though, where we actually get to see Darth Vader in action.
Yeah.
Like, Darth Vader actually boards the ship that downloaded them, and we get the hallway fight scene where he steps out of the dark with his red lightsaber, and he friggin' wrecks the rebel foot soldiers. He's slicing them, he's throwing them around with the Force. We get a very scary Jason Voorhees-esque Vader, basically. The rebels manage to slip the plans through and get away in the blockade, where we see it's Princess Leia with her deep fake face.
Yeah.
And it ends with Darth Vader chasing them, leading into episode 4, ending Rogue One.
Right.
So, this one I might actually put on another happy landing.
Okay.
Definitely, I think it might be above Attack of the Clones, just because some more interesting stuff actually happens in this movie.
I wonder if Rogue 2 would be better. I saw a video where they recreated the hallway scene in Battlefront 2015.
Vader, with the time he got, was pretty badass. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I know everyone loves that scene.
Yeah, I don't get what the point of Saw being left behind was.
Yeah.
Me neither. I think they just wanted to kill him off.
Yes, director Orson Krennic. Like how K2O is an Imperial droid reprogrammed, and I just love that one scene where they kill the droid and he appears and says, "Did you know that wasn't me?"
Yeah, that was a funny scene. Director Orson Krennic. Okay, that was his name. Rogue One is thankfully a good movie. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know anything about
Wolf
this film
has not seen it
other than the visual of them on the final area and then the Vader scene.
Yeah, I will say it was the only good Disney movie of the Star Wars saga. It was definitely a return to the dark, kind of gritty feel of Star Wars. There were no kiddie-style jokes in this, and it wasn't awful like the other movies are. definitely a good side story. I'll put it on another happy landing.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the same can't be said for Solo, a Star Wars series.
Where we get Han Solo's origin, where he's named by a guard.
I don't have any people.
Our debut Solo.
I love Robot Chicken parried this scene. The fat guy comes in and said, "I'll call you Porkins, piggy." Pork, pork, pork. This is the origin story to Han Solo. Basically, it was supposed to be a small movie about him on his first heist.
Right.
And it escalated into this big-ass, overly complicated epic plugging more shows.
And we get to see him do the famous Kessel Run in 10.3 parsecs or whatever the number was.
Even though the Empire was following them through it, so they did the Kessel Run technically too.
Right. And also, of course, thing where parsec is not a measurement of time, it's of distance.
Yeah, so the guy playing Solo, I will say, is not bad, but I don't buy him as Han.
That's fair.
It's like, we're also supposed to believe that this is what Harrison Ford was like in his early days.
Yeah.
Basically, Han is trying to find himself. He's at first like a delinquent, then he briefly joins the Empire as a foot soldier, realizes the life isn't for him. He gets thrown into prison where he meets Chewie, and we get a very disturbing scene implying that Chewie eats people. But apparently,
I can see that still.
Like, he and Chewie became buddies in prison because Han could fight. They go on their first heist, and Han eventually ends up working with Woody Harrelson, who's this grouchy kind of merc guy who takes Han in under his wing like a son. And surprise, like, they go on a heist together where they're paid by a mysterious benefactor. We're, like, stealing stuff from the Empire. We see Han basically recruiting a crew on this heist for half the movie, and we meet Lando, we meet the feminist droid.
Yep.
And he finds out his first girlfriend, the girl from Game of Thrones, is in this. That's some character I forgot.
Alright.
She's the love interest for Han, which is pretty pointless when you know he ends up with Leia. Yeah, she's apparently another strong, independent woman character who was supposed to get her own spin-off.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie exists. Yeah, that is the reaction a lot of people have. It's basically kind of a heist movie, and we're establishing stuff about Han while also retconning a lot of stuff.
Right.
It's setting up, like, a lot of stuff that's going to happen to him in Episode 4. We see how he's going to work with Jabba. We see how he became the man we all know.
How he and Lando met.
Yeah, we find out they're on a heist to, like, steal, like, this weird, like, treasure or something. However, we find out in a twist, Woody Harrelson was the bad guy. Yeah, he told Han you couldn't trust anyone, including the people you love.
Yep.
Yeah, and they become the bad guy. Turns out the Game of Thrones chick, Emilia Clarke, was also working with him because they're secretly working with this evil, like, mob kingpin who we don't know who it is yet, but if you remember Wolf, there was an infamous reveal of who it was.
Oh, no.
It's actually Darth Maul! Yeah, Darth Maul shows up and it confused hundreds of viewers. Basically, the Clone Wars is canon now.
God.
Darth Maul awkwardly shows up in this movie alive and with legs. And he contacted the Game of Thrones chick because she's actually a spy working in his pocket. This is when Darth Maul had control of the gangland.
Had we had the final season of Clone Wars at this point
It did not happen yet.
Okay.
They did get his voice actor, too, from Clone Wars.
So this is after the Emperor invades the planet, kills everyone, kills his Padawan, and goes, I have plans for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, Darth Maul is the criminal kingpin, and Han never meets him because I guess that's to protect canon.
Yeah.
But Game of Thrones chick and Woody Harrelson are working for him, basically, and they try to steal this treasure. Han's fighting them for it and trying to get it back for himself. And we get the final... we get, like, a lot of dumb scenes setting up the movies and basically plugging a bunch of shows and teasing the great universe.
Yeah.
This had one of the most awful retcons where we meet the rebels, and they're actually lost runaway children wearing, like, armor that makes them look scary, kind of like adults.
That's stupid.
And we see the chick from Falcon and Winter Soldier as their leader. Like, yeah, a teenage girl is the leader of the rebels.
Wait, no, you're not talking about the like ginger girl, are you?
Yeah, the freckled Jesus.
One they were trying
jingle...
to force everyone. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
they really tried to push her.
She's in this as one of the rebel founders. She has like a bunch of lost children who lost their parents to the Empire, and Han befriends them, and they sort of work out this alliance where they fight Woody Harrelson's forces.
Jeez.
And Woody Harrelson and Han get this final cowboy showdown, and Han shot first. He like shoots Woody Harrelson in the middle of a monologue. Yeah. It's supposed to be a reference to the meme.
He always shot first. I hated that George Lucas retcon of Greedo shooting first.
Yeah, Han shot first. He's disappointed in his mentor, but we have this "you did well, my old student" kind of scene where Woody Harrelson praises him.
We'll just say that Sam Witwer is excellent as Maul, though more in Clone Wars and Rebels. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, because Darth Maul was a good character in that.
Yeah.
You know, Darth Maul can't have any children. Yeah, because he was sliced. Yeah. Also, the only one without the dynamic droid duo. Yeah, speaking of which, we see Han and Lando also kind of becoming friends. They're, of course, enemies who hate each other, but then they become bros at the end.
Oh, pansexual Lando.
Oh, and how can we forget the feminist droid, Phoebe Waller-Bridge?
That's right.
Who's the worst character in this movie and easily the one who dragged it down.
Yeah, but Lando loved her, so once she dies, he plugs her into the Millennium Falcon. And thanks to her, the Kessel Run is done.
And I love that somebody pointed out, now this makes the Millennium Falcon part feminist.
Yeah.
The worst character in this series. I might put it on It's a Crap or Clumsy Jar Jar. Basically, at the end of the movie, Han manages to get the treasure for himself, stops the deal, and proves that he's actually a good smuggler. He and Lando become bros. He and his ex-girlfriend part on good terms, sort of. They set her up for her own show where she's working for Maul.
Okay.
And he gets those stupid golden dice that he's gonna give Princess Leia in the Last Jedi movie.
Okay.
And Han is also, at the end of the movie, Han is finally happy with who he is as a smuggler, and Lando mentions they got a job from a hut to go to. And yeah, it's plugging us into the next adventure, and that is the end of the movie. Han becomes who we all know.
Greedo shot first. No, you were wrong.
I might put this on It's a Crap, honestly.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's better than Last Jedi, that's for sure, but still crap.
I also love how we have a Disney Plus ad on this thing this entire time.
Yeah, down there. I guess they predicted this.
Alright.
Alright, let me use the bathroom.
Okay.
But let's get hyped for a final good note, the Clone Wars.
Yep, Kat and I were talking about this earlier as well. God. Okay, so this is the second one that has Clone Wars in its title, because in like the early 2000s, Genndy Tartakovsky had Star Wars Clone Wars, but then this was The Clone Wars, which then from this movie became its own show that lasted a good long while with a lot of ups and downs, and also introduced Ahsoka. And that's with this first film that apparently was in theaters. I don't recall that. I remember watching it on television, because it was also like it was like a 3-part episode when it was put on TV, kind of like how Dragon Ball would later do for Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. But with this film, we are not yet in episode 3. This is the between period from episode 2 to 3 to explore how we got from there to there, effectively. And this one opens up in a war already. We are mid-conflict on this planet. That is, we get more prequel for this film in like the 5th episode of the first season, which I really love that episode. I forget what it's called, but Mando I like Slicks so much. Don't you hate it when they take out a word like a or the to change the title, like some of the Goosebumps tales? Yeah, it is a really dumb change, and it really kind of makes it confusing when you're trying to tell other people that, oh yeah, no, this is Star Wars Clone Wars. This is the Clone Wars. It's like a whole mess.
All right, finally back.
Yep.
Where do you want to put this one then, Wolf?
I say much to learn, Padawan.
Much to learn?
It's
okay. Definitely above Force Awakens,
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
for sure. I love it more.
Yeah, this film is good, but not great.
Alright, so if you don't remember, this did release in theaters. It was basically an expensive TV pilot, a bunch of episodes that were sewn together into a film, and George Lucas wanted to advertise his show through making it on theaters. It was pretty smart, actually, because people found out the show existed, basically,
Yeah.
but the movie does have its flaws. I do think it's okay. There are a lot of great moments, but there's an equal amount of misses here and there. Basically, Jabba the Hutt's son is kidnapped, and Anakin gets his official Padawan, Ahsoka Tano, in this movie. He and Ahsoka work together, and they have to become good friends while also rescuing Jabba the Hutt's son, Rada. And yeah, it's basically stretched out through 4 episodes, but in a feature film runtime. Basically, they're going on adventures, saving the Hutt, getting attacked by the Separatists, etc., etc. The series was definitely better. The Clone Wars movie is basically a starting point. The movie walked so the series could run. Yeah, I kind of have a similar feel towards this movie as the Haunting Hour movie. I know the Haunting Hour, don't think about it, has its fans, but I thought the show was far superior, and I can accept it because it was basically a pilot starting everything.
Yeah, it did its job.
Yeah, we meet Ahsoka, and Ahsoka used to be my favorite Star Wars character of all time.
I was one of the Ahsoka haters.
Yeah, Wolf hated her because she could be annoying.
Yes,
and
thankfully they fixed her.
She was snippy. Snips. But Wolf did love Captain Rex, who made up for it.
Yep.
Yeah, Captain Rex is in this movie too, and he's the best clone.
That saved Padme.
And was there on Endor.
Yeah.
Yeah, we meet Ahsoka, we meet Rex, we meet Asajj Ventress. She was in the old Clone Wars, but audiences got more to know her more through this show, basically. Because in the old Clone Wars, she was just a boss fight for Anakin. And we meet Master Shake Hutt, Zero the Hutt. Basically, there's this mystery of who would want to abduct Jabba's son. The Separatists are clearly doing it for political pull, but they would have to have had help, and we find out Zero the Hutt was actually aiding Dooku this whole time. The first half hour of the movie actually takes place on a Clone Wars battle.
Yep.
They're on, like, this Halo city fighting the battle droids.
Yeah, really cool action sequence again.
We get to meet Ahsoka, who tries to prove herself in battle and impress Anakin.
Good old snips.
A lot of cool action. We see the clones. We basically get introduced to what the action's gonna be like in this show. I thought the battles were pretty cool. How can we forget General Worm Loathsome?
The names in this series.
Names in this
They're
series.
hilarious.
Moralo Evol.
Savage Press.
Very on the nose about their evil.
Yeah.
It's like you want your children to become villains one day. Yeah, basically, good old-fashioned Star Wars battle. It is pretty fun, pretty good for the whole family, decent action. However, the plot officially kicks off when they get Ahsoka, who proves her greatness to Anakin, and Anakin starts to trust her. This is one of the things I hate about the movie, is that I think Anakin accepted Ahsoka way too early. Like, after they win the battle on this planet, Anakin is, like, reaching out to Ahsoka and telling her, oh, you never would have made it as Obi-Wan's student, but you might make it as mine, and they basically bond and become friends real quickly. I think this scene should have been closer to the end of the movie. I think Ahsoka and Anakin had to earn the other's trust and friendship a bit more, but no, it happens at the end of this battle, and then the plot finally enters. They have to save Rada, where they get onto wacky adventures and cool fight scenes. And I will say, I think the animation holds up greatly for Clone Wars. Like, it still looks good. Definitely the later seasons improved because they looked like Halo levels.
Yeah.
And a lot more sleeker video game animations, but here it looks pretty fine. The clones look cool, the action's intense. It's definitely having fun with this, and we're getting to know the characters. You didn't like Ahsoka at first, Wolf?
No.
What'd you think about
I
her?
hated her. She was annoying. I was one of the many people that did not like her.
I liked Ahsoka since the start. I was, of course, sketchy that Anakin got an apprentice, and of course it's this cute little girl character. I thought, oh, is she gonna be terrible? No, she was actually fun to me. I actually liked her on the beginning. Ahsoka used to be one of my waifus, too. But that changed. That's a lesson for another video.
The way you say that term every time.
Waifu and waifu accessories.
Yeah, like straight up.
Yeah. I thought Ahsoka was cool, okay?
Yeah.
I did actually respect her. I could understand finding her annoying because she's snippy and always complaining to Anakin. But yeah, she has a good heart. Eventually, we find out Dooku was behind this, and they did get Christopher Lee to voice him again on Clone Wars. It's great seeing him because Dooku got to do more on the show than he did in the movies, basically.
Also, wasn't Ian McDermott coming back for the Emperor?
Yeah, he was the Emperor.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson was Mace Windu in the first season in this movie, but then he got replaced by the guy who dubbed him in the video games.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, he was back, and I think Ewan McGregor was in the first Clone Wars movie, but then he got replaced by James Arnold Taylor, because...
Did a great job.
Yeah, also a lot more easy to pay, so yeah.
Yeah, and same with Anakin.
Yeah.
Who he got a new voice.
Yeah, they did completely replace Hayden up until he joined for the streaming shows. Okay. Yeah, in the cartoons, it is a different guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the voice cast is pretty good. I thought Ahsoka was pretty good, too, as a voice. And Tom Kane does a really good Yoda.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they did not get Frank Oz. They got Tom Kane, who's pretty great as Yoda. And
isn't he also the, announcer guy?
Yeah, he's the admiral and the announcer. They did kind of these World War II style updates to recap the Clone Wars.
The war radio.
Yeah, Tom Kane, great in the show, and Padme, she's pretty good too. Padme weirdly doesn't show up till the last half hour, and that's how you could tell this was a bunch of episodes, because her episode came last, basically, and Padme, one of the main characters, is sidelined.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of weaving between them. That's like
yeah, you could tell they were each a standalone story, and then the next one,
they're all separated acts.
It wasn't like, they were all different phase of this plot.
Yep.
They have cool fight scenes. We meet Asajj Ventress. She's now voiced by Nika Futterman instead of Grey DeLisle. And I actually liked Nika. I know she's pretty much using her Catwoman voice, but yeah, she did pretty good. We get her, and she's more so Obi-Wan's rival than Anakin's.
Right.
And that was a bit of an odd change, but hey, whatever. Glad she's back.
She was a great character.
Yeah, we basically introduced you to a lot of the Clone Wars cast in this movie, and eventually they slowly but surely get Rada back to Tatooine, but they're still being stalked. Dooku frames them for attacking them and abducting Rada the Hutt, and tries to gain Jabba's trust, and they're kind of competing for Jabba to trust their side, because he owns the galaxy on this side.
Yeah, he's a major crime boss in uncharted kind of outer territories, so having him join any side would be a good blow to the enemy.
Oh, someone wanted us to do a Clone Wars Rebels tier list.
In the future, maybe.
Might do Clone Wars. I hate Rebels. Rebels sucks.
I haven't seen Rebels. The only episode I saw was, I think the finale.
I did show you the Darth Maul one.
And yes, the one with the helicopters.
Those stupid helicopter blades. Yeah, basically, Ahsoka proves herself. Anakin finally accepts Ahsoka as a sort of daughter figure, but also his apprentice.
I don't get the daughter thing.
I don't get what fans say, that she's kind of like the daughter.
No, it's clearly an apprenticeship.
Yeah, they're clearly friends, apprentices, teacher-student kind of relationship. Yeah. Daughter, no, not at all.
No.
So just because they bicker like family doesn't mean they are.
Yeah.
And Anakin fights Count Dooku. Ahsoka proves herself by fighting the Magna Guards by herself and keeping the baby safe.
Yep.
Their plan worked. They return it. Padme finds out that Master Sheik was really in on it and exposes him as a traitor, that they were all played by Count Dooku, basically. And they nearly execute Ahsoka and Anakin, but then they get the call saying that, Zero the Hutt manipulated events.
Yep.
And Padme saves her man Anakin, where they return the father-son, and Jabba the Hutt had good relations with the Jedi forever.
At least with the Republic.
Yeah, he pretty much gives him access to his galaxy and
Yeah.
agrees now that they saved his son.
Yeah, I think it might not even be his war chest. It might just be like the ability to move through him.
Right.
That's what it is.
They said he owns the outer rim. That's
Yeah,
what they keep
okay.
saying.
Right, so yeah, it is just trying to get safe passage, basically.
I do like seeing Jabba had this much influence and power.
Yeah, it is really good.
Jabba the Hutt was the kingpin of Star Wars.
Yeah, even in the early films, he was.
Yeah.
He was basically Al Capone, if you think about
Pretty
it.
much. He's a gangster.
Yeah.
The Hutts are a gang clan. And
Gangsters.
he had great relationships with Anakin, but didn't care for his son. Would not return the favor.
Yeah. Well, look, they lost the war. But it's okay, they'll help you in Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah. And basically, we have this final shot of all the heroes standing together for like a promotional
They
ad.
do a lot in the
They
series.
do that all the time.
It's the heroics standing over victory and
They're playing the John Williams music. And yeah, that was the Clone Wars. It was okay. I do have fun watching this movie. The show is awesome.
Yeah, this
course.
is a good pilot for the series.
Definitely flawed as a movie. That was kind of the problem. It doesn't run very well. There are characters who awkwardly pop up and disappear. It's very clearly a bunch of episodes forced together into a film. And I don't think Rada the Hutt ever comes back in this saga.
I think he does once in the show.
Does?
I think so.
I would figure they'd use him more in the streaming shows because he's an adult by then, but...
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't think Rada played a part.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking of a different character. I'm thinking of the one that actually did it. No, yeah, Rada never comes up. He might come up as like a cameo, though.
Yeah, he pops up if Jabba's involved.
Yeah, I think they do. Jabba does come back once.
Also, I don't want to think how Hutts reproduce.
Probably just like slugs.
So
I don't need to look at that.
Weird, yeah. Love the Clone Wars show. The movie was an okay. It was a starting point and it did its job.
Yep.
It is miles better than the Disney crap, that's for sure. But
definitely.
Still not the top tier of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So with that, I think that completes our list.
Yep, we have in the let's go bottom up.
It's a crap. It's Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi, and Solo. These are all pieces of crap. They're terrible.
Man, they're all sequential too. We went Last Jedi and just Solo into that one.
Yeah, they're bad. These are the bottom of the barrel. These are the movies that ruined Star Wars. They are awful.
Right.
None made it to clumsy Jar Jar, which is shocking.
I don't think so.
Much to learn, Padawan. Force Awakens, it had potential. It did have promise. I will admit, it's a good standalone Star Wars movie.
It got me reinvested into it.
Right. Unfortunately, it's attached to the crap, which dragged it down.
Yeah.
Then, The Clone Wars, an okay starting point, and unlike Force Awakens, it was attached to good things, which helped raise it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay movie, but not the top-tier Star Wars movie. I would still recommend seeing it.
Right.
Then, another happy landing, Attack of the Clones, and Rogue One.
Okay.
I think these are flawed and not perfect, but they are pretty much good movies overall, I would say. They have high moments, they have epic scenes, and they do represent Star Wars in a great way.
Yeah.
And then Master Jedi. We have Revenge of the Sith as the top tier, but you want to go backwards. We have Empire Strikes Back, great movie. Phantom Menace, underrated movie. The episode 4, the best start of a great saga.
Yep.
Episode 6, the greatest finale and the true final Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
And Revenge of the Sith, the greatest action-adventure prequel ever.
Yeah.
All these are top tier, and yes, we even like Phantom Menace. I know some people will be pissed Empire didn't make it too high, but it is our personal bias.
If anything, I'd say they're on even ground.
Yeah,
you just can't do that with a tier list.
They're all on the high ground, okay? These are all great S-rank masterpieces, so be happy. We got a lot more good than bad.
Yep.
But don't worry, KK might fix that with episode 10. Yeah, so this is our Star Wars ranking. Thank you so much. We're glad you stuck around.
Yep.
Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, or just tune in for more videos posted here on Wolf Entertainment. I'm your host, Catastrophe.
And I'm Wolf.
And we'll see you all later.
Bye-bye.
May the Force be with you.